So you will see a streaming on YouTube at the top, and there's a drop down where you'll see the an option to copy the link to it.
Sounds good.
So now I will give you back.
And do I should I also be recording, or is it just?
I think
the
so.
live
That's what
stream?
everybody else is doing, so might as well.
All right, and I see copy streaming link and view stream on YouTube.
Yep. So I'm going to give you back the host, and I'm out.
Sounds good. See ya.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Ethan.
No problem.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, Ignacio, you're in the right room, but just so you know, we start at 9. So you've got a little bit more downtime if you want to get some fresh air or something.
Okay. I thought we started at 8:45.
Now, today's going to be like 9 to up to 1, but maybe end earlier.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Also, Ethan, for Monday's class, I thought we were not going to have class, and I bought my ticket back to Panama that day. And I don't know if I'll be able to go to the class. Maybe I'll like be for part of the class, and then my flight to Panama will be like at I think it's at 10.
Yep. Well, you've got some leeway with your absences, so you can afford to miss a class. But of course, it's not great timing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's that I thought we ended at the 28th. I don't know why.
No, yeah, I mean, like, all your other classes are also still happening on Monday.
Yeah, no, it's that I just have a studio on Monday. So.
All right, and let's see if everyone is pinned up. And I'll start recording the meeting in a bit, but right now we're just on live stream. And hopefully concept board's working too. That's a good first question. Oh, great, it's got the loading wheels of death. Oh, this is why everyone, you got your PDF compiled, Ignacio?
Yeah.
Perfect, because concept board isn't even opening for me right now, which is not a great start.
Okay, so I'll like try to get some corrections on my PDF. That's it.
Sounds good.
Crosby to the Hey, morning, Guillermo.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
You were
Very
able
nice
to
see
find us,
you
huh?
Again.
I think you're on mute, huh?
Oh, okay, okay.
Hey,
Marie,
Sonsoles, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Michael?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfectly. Can you
Huh?
hear me?
Ethan,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yeah, we can all hear you.
Hi,
Can you-
Guillermo.
Hi,
I
how
can't
are
hear
you?
anyone.
Oh, that's on Professor Crosby's side.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah,
Now, what about now?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my headphones are not working. I'm gonna have to just do this without headphones this morning. Good. All right. Well, thank you all for coming. We'll see when we get everyone here in a couple minutes.
Okay. Thank you for having us, Michael.
Well, they've done a lot of work this semester, and they really appreciate you all coming to look at the work this morning.
Thank you, thank you.
When we get a couple of more. So we have Ethan's going to be doing the timing, and we have about 15 minutes a student, but that may actually be a lot of time for us because we're not used to that kind of a long of a review. So we'll see how that works, but I'll give you all time to talk to the students about their projects. One thing we're going to try and do is use the PDFs this morning. We've been working on concept board, but we've been having lots of trouble with that. So the students are going to should be showing on their own PDFs, and they did get an email on that to make sure that they have their PDF ready to go. So it's almost 9 o'clock, and at 9 I was going to kind of introduce the project, introduce you guys. We're still missing a couple. So Ethan, this is actually on YouTube.
That's right. I'll be sending the link out to everyone in a moment, and then I'm also going to record it for posterity and hopefully upload it to Canva at some point.
Okay.
Or Canvas.
So it's 9 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming. I want to introduce our guest reviewers. Guillermo Lockhart and Sonsoles Villa are here with us this morning. They both teach in second year, is that right? Guillermo, I forget. Yeah, they're in second year.
Yeah.
So you will get to know them next year as they will get to know you all today. So hopefully some of you all will be in their sections next year coming up. So we really appreciate them taking the time to be with us this morning. This is from 9 till 1. We'll see how long, if we make it that far. But anyway, and give you all some crits. So I want to talk just a little bit before we start with the students on kind of what we did this semester in terms of projects. And it's very similar to what we did last year in the spring, where we started with hand drawings, but then moved very quickly into the digital world. So the hand drawings and the projects, we asked them to bring tools that they had, sort of maybe more antique type tools, found objects that they could bring in and do drawings. And we started by doing drafting this semester. We always do sketching in sketchbooks, but this was about drafting exercises. And so they worked on plans, elevations, sections, and axonometric views of their objects in pencil. And then there was the idea of doing sort of movement drawing that represent what the idea of the tool was and what the idea of what the tool did. And so from there, we moved into the digital realm. And so very heavily working with the teaching assistants and Adam, they were learning to work in Rhino and Rhino modeling of the same tool, but now in the computer. And again, it was the same sort of exercise of plan section, elevations, and axonometric drawings, and then this idea of this other drawing, which had to do with how the object would work and move. And so it was sort of an animated type of drawing that they worked on. So that was really the beginning of the semester. And with that, then they had to design a pedestal and a top that they could display the objects in. And so the display would be able to hold it. It was a full scale display. Typically, we started sort of with foam board and then worked then into museum board for the final. And they did a physical model. This is actually the only physical modeling that they did this semester. On this final project, this was all in the computer and was all digital modeling. So there was so that the only physical model was actually the top to the display of their objects. And so then from that was the idea that we were going to be looking at the archival storage of Tulane and the different artifacts that were stored in different locations, and to design a building that would house those. And starting that, we looked at sort of an idea of a diagramming strategy of taking figure and field. And with figure and field, what we meant was that they looked at the idea of the solid and void. And the solid being the sort of the private, the storage space, the void being circulation, open space, public space. And so that they did a series of little patterns. It had no scale to them. It just had a size, and it's sort of 70% solid and 30% open. And they worked through a set of those as an introduction to the project. From there, we gave them the program, and we also gave them several precedents. The precedents that they looked at specifically, they could look at other ones on their own, was OMA's Parc de la Villette, which was a pattern diagram in plan that they were to look at. The Diamond Ranch Museum by Jean Hajic, which was really based on the Mondrian paintings earlier this century. And then the Aldo Van Eyck Sculpture Museum, which was a sort of another plan diagram. So with those three plan diagrams, they could look at those as sort of a starting point for working on the project. You know, how does a student begin? How do you start a project? Besides programming, you know, what are the other ways to introduce the project? So we really sort of work with this idea of diagramming and the idea of diagramming both their idea and then looking at these precedents. And then from there, they worked the rest of the semester on the project. Now, I do want to say that we spent all the semester sort of on the interior of this project. Last year when we wrote this, it sort of happened right at the beginning of the pandemic, and so that we had very little time at the end of the semester. So we really concentrated on an interior space. This semester we did give them a site, but the concentration still was on the interior in planning strategies, of sectional idea of light coming into the space where you could have light, and then sort of the idea of making the perspectives where you could see the galleries and the exhibition of the work. They did drawing. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I didn't mention that they did look through the archives, and they had to find 10 precedents from the archives to start with, and then draw 3 of those in Rhino. And those should be inhabiting the projects that you'll be looking at today. Ethan, I'm probably missing some things, but if there's anything else you want to fill in, and if you'll have some questions, certainly before we start, we'll be happy to answer them for you. What are we missing? What was I missing?
I think you pretty much hit it all, but from a technical standpoint, I just wanted to add before we begin that I'll be sending the link in the chat right now to the YouTube live stream if you have anyone you want to share that with. And
Okay.
then we will also be recording this starting now.
You record that. Oh, you didn't
And-
record the earlier part. Okay.
Well, I mean, we all know the beginning part, and this
Right.
is mainly for the professors and
Just on
students to
Solus
rewatch
or,
their own
Guillermo?
presentations.
Do either one of you all have any questions?
Oh, I
I'm
think,
fine.
yeah, I think
Fine, good. You're ready
Pretty
to
clear.
start? Okay. All right. So Ethan, you're going to do direct here and get us started.
Yep, so just before we begin, the game plan is everyone will have 15 minutes total, and people should present within the first 5 minutes. But if you finish after like 2 or 3 minutes, more time to hear from professors, so certainly welcome. And then I will give a 5-minute warning, and then I will tell people like, okay, and at that point, we're gonna wrap up and move on. The first person who is going to present is going to be Daniela, and she's going to share her screen with the PDF for the presentation. But then do the professors have the link to the concept board to view?
Yeah, do you all have the link to that? The concept board, can you all see those if you want?
I don't have it right
No.
here, but let me
Can you
check.
post it, Ethan, on the chat?
Yeah, try, so that should be the link to the final review concept board. So click on that, let me know if you're allowed to view. Since the ideal would be that you would be, like after the PDF presentation, you could look at your own, free will around the concept board, and then you could ask the students to go to specific drawings on the PDFs, because we found that concept board is hard to read when it comes to like drawing line weights and so on.
Okay.
Is the link working?
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Great, good. Okay, and Daniela, thank you so much for being our first, to start off. I know it's toughest to be the first person, but we really appreciate you taking that on. So I think we're probably ready, huh?
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Okay, go ahead, thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Okay.
And just before you begin, you can make it full screen by doing Control-L or going View Present.
View.
Full screen mode. Sorry.
Okay. There it is. Okay, so starting off with my concept diagram, my project is basically organized in what you could call a bar scheme, as you can see in the diagram. So the idea of the bar scheme is similar to that of Herzog and de Meuron's depot, which I will show after this, is to have an open central display area that breaks off into enclosed areas on the sides. Okay, so for my plan, I have this frontmost area, which has the more public areas, which are the lobby and the research room. In the central space, directly behind the lobby area, are the display shelves and the pedestals. Surrounding the shelving area are the 3 main circulation corridors, which allow the access to all the spaces of the building. Off to the sides are the facilities that are more exclusive access, such as the offices, conference rooms, loading area, and storage. Okay, so for my axon, to take advantage of the light and views of the site, I added glass panels along the facade that faces the Mississippi River and inclined the roof that allows clerestory lighting into the central space of the building. Here is my section. Let me go back to the plan. So this first section cuts through this part. Here you could see an office space. Here is a corridor with the pedestals. This is the shelving area, another corridor, and then a conference room right over here. For this other section, it cuts through this half. And here you could see the lobby area and the shelving and then a conference room in the background. This is my first perspective. This would be the corridor with the pedestals, the shelving to the right, and then a conference room with view to the Mississippi River. And this is a view of the lobby. And in the background, you can see the shelving. And off to the side here is the bathroom. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Did you say you did have some, you did have a diagram of your precedent?
I do.
You might
So,
want to talk a little bit about that. Yeah, how that maybe was helpful.
okay, so pretty much I like the concept of this open central space area. And here you can see that their project is basically based on that. And this area I think is similar to mine, like in this area, because the lobby is open to the shelving and you can see all the way to the back. It's very similar actually to this perspective.
To that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Mhm. Okay, do you want to say, talk a little bit or at all about the some of the objects that you chose? And then remember in the beginning, we had you choose 3 to draw, a large, a medium, and a small. And then they were to inhabit it. So we're starting to see those in the shelving. But was there sort of a idea of which ones you chose, or were they just the sort of by size or by category? I don't, you can explain that a little bit if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I just no specific reason for choosing my objects, but I chose this head sculpture right over here,
Mhm.
and the pistol, which is right over here, and then the shelf, which is the largest object, but I did not display it here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have enough room on your PDFs that you can actually sort of show those drawings that we started with. You want to add that to this later.
Yes, I have those on a separate PDF.
Yeah, but I think it'd be nice to have had those there.
Okay.
Okay, so anything else you want to say about your project before we ask the reviewers to talk about it?
I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, now we're going to let you do the driving. So
Okay, yeah, sure. If you want me to go to any specific slide, I will do that.
well, I think maybe you can start with your plan.
Okay, perfect.
You can leave that on for right now, but yeah. So okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll let you all start.
Okay. Do you want me, Sonsoles, to jump in, or
Yeah,
do
sure.
you wanna go first?
No, the floor is on yours. Guillermo, you can start.
Oh,
My
thank you.
pleasure.
First, I want to congratulate Daniela. I think it was the drawings are really good. I really like the perspectives and also the way she draw the objects, the different objects. I agree with Michael that for us it would be a good it could be good information to have a kind of a slide with the different objects in a much more bigger scale, so we can see them. But I saw those in the perspective, and I think it was really good. First, the first slide in the diagram, I would try to add a key so we can understand like pretty easily. Because then you have like different shades of gray, you have black, and maybe just adding a small key saying like, well, the black is for, I don't know, the most private area, the offices and the conference room, to show maybe the other areas, the circulation, the other spaces, that kind of thing. I really like the idea of framing the river with a window at the end of the circulation. That also gives kind of an end to that to that circulation around the shelves. I really like the perspective that shows that window frame of the Mississippi and the other side of the city. I found really interesting the reference of Herzog and the Meuron also, that they have a pretty similar program that the one you're developing right now. So I think it's a really good reference. And also I think the relation between the public and the private that you used, it's pretty similar to their project. And I think it's a really interesting way of presenting this kind of new typology that's a mix between an exhibition, storage, a workspace. So I think that was really good. And I really like the way you draw the perspectives, the point of view, and also how you highlight this specific mask. I think it was kind of a mask of a collection object that you drawn. So I think it's a very clear scheme, and I think it's working. It's working pretty well. So congratulations on your presentation.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Daniela. I agree with Guillermo. Congratulations for your presentation. It's true that when we have diagrams, it's true that we should really just with a glance to realize what you want to represent, okay? Even if it's not the reality. So it also can help us to have a key legend to make us try to understand your project just with a short glance. That for everybody, okay? Because the diagrams are really, really important and also help us to analyze your concept and your strategies. But it's true that from time to time, we need to have a kind of key legend. Because for example, if you use solid and void, private versus open space, maybe you don't need to use a key legend because everybody understands it's a kind of standard language, right? But when you are mixing different gradations or strips in which you show the circulation and also the private space, storage space, which you should give us an idea of the key legend, okay? That's in one hand. In the other hand, I really like the work line in your sections and also in your floor plans. I think that your line work is really, really nice. In terms of concept, I will like you to go back to your precedent just to check it a little bit together. Okay. In that precedent, it's true that here you can see that we have like different cells. Those are taller, right? And the taller ones, sorry for my drawings, the taller ones has embedded those columns, right? And the others are a little bit smaller, which are that one, right? Which is that space. So within those space is a kind of buffers like taller, smaller, taller, smaller. So, and that gives you the possibility to display different type of objects. I know that you have selected 10 different objects from the Tulane library, right? Or the thing that you were doing your research. So that could give you the possibility of making different type of displays based on the size of the project, the object, and also maybe some of them, they need to be just storage on a shelf, and some of them you want to display in the whole ways because it's a beautiful sculpture or whatever, and you want to go around. So that also creates a kind of circulation around the object and also gives you to your project that interest. I think that in your case, probably it's because it's not, you haven't time, but I don't know if you have taken that into that account to show that. Can you go to your floor plans? For example, looking at the circulation, you have 3 pathways, right? But here in the middle, you have your columns. I will suggest you for the next time to avoid to put it on the middle and maybe to embed it into your cells.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. Very good point.
Because in that way, your corridor is going to be huge, and probably if you decide to have some of these cells smaller, not very tall, also you can achieve the same that you have seen in your precedent. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay. Is it the Mississippi River, the view over here, Daniel?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Okay. Really, really smart to take advantage of that view. But I will recommend you again. Here we have like 2 strategies, okay? If you want to take advantage of that view and also to provide daylight, one of the options is remove all these cells and create a kind of circulation like that, right? And another option is to design yourselves with some porosity. So each cell has different windows, and through those cells, you can see the Mississippi River, but at the same time, you are seeing your objects. You know what I mean? That is another strategy, but this is in depth, okay? I think that your project is really, really good. But if you have more time and you want to make a kind of a step further, the things that you can improve in your project, because it's really, really great, could be that, okay? To have a kind of circulation, more fluid, and also to make more interaction with the Mississippi River, which is really, really nice because you have so, can we see again your beautiful perspective with that window?
Yeah, go to that. Yeah.
Okay, that. Now,
Mhm.
imagine that then we have here a kind of cells like you have over there, right? And some of them are windows or openings, and in others you have displaced your objects. So it will be fantastic. Or, as I say, just remove the last self and leave it like open space, or maybe in that you need to place a kind of cell which is shorter and you can sit down. Also, it's a kind of pedestal, but at the same time, it's a kind of bench to look at the Mississippi River. So in that sense, you have plenty of opportunities to even improve more your design.
Yeah, great. Very good comments. I mean, particularly, as you move on, the idea that there are places to stop and sit, that's a really, really great idea. That it doesn't take much time to add that into that. You would show up in your plans and in your perspectives in particular. So, but really, very good comments. Very good comments. Yeah, I think, she did a really good job. I think, work looks really good. You do want to put those, the artifacts that you did your drawings on, that needs to be in this, in this PDF. Okay, closing comments, any more? Or time-wise, Ethan, is that about right, or?
We've got a minute or two if anyone has any final thoughts.
Yeah, so if you're ready to keep going, we have no idea what the exterior really looks like. So if you were going to be working on your own, you may want to imagine maybe you do a perspective from the exterior, along the river edge and looking at the building and the river. So it's kind of this perspective, but from the outside looking in, and that would be a really interesting drawing to do, because it would start to talk about, well, what are the materials that you're using? How is this fit onto the site, and to kind of move forward from there, because we really did not do any elevation studies or begin to talk about elevations on the project. Because this would be a great way to get into that part. On
Yeah,
your
even
own.
even
On your own.
even in the floor plan, for example, in the loading dock, you
Yeah.
can, Daniela, you could add some tracks or some bands, so you can show how they would enter, you know, or you can add, for example, people in the entry plaza. But I know that your design was more focused on the inside, but of course, as Michael said, you would then definitely would start designing the exterior, you know.
Yes. But good job. Thank you very much. Great comments.
Thank you.
All right, and now we have Brian. You're all set?
Yeah, Brian, you ready?
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a PDF like format. So is it okay if I go on from the concept board?
Why don't you can you put together a PDF in 15 minutes?
Yes.
Why don't you put together a PDF? Max, you're up.
Okay.
What's the next then?
Yeah, there was an email to everyone from Adam about the PDF completion from a few days ago.
Okay, Max, can you go?
Yeah, sure. Give me 1 second.
Okay, great, thanks.
And I'll also add for the reviewers, if you might have noticed on the concept board, but we'll be taking 15-minute breaks between each batch of 4. So we'll have plenty of time to stretch our legs in between groups.
Okay, great.
All right, Max. Don't forget to present on full screen, and your time begins now.
You guys can see everything?
I can see it.
All right, cool. This is
Just
the
sorry,
PDF
put it on
got a
full
little bit
screen because it's very small right now.
Full screen? Yeah. There we go. That's
Yeah, like go view present full screen or use Control L. Oh, you have a Mac.
I have a Mac, yeah.
I don't know how to do a Mac. Just keep it
Is
zoomed
this
in.
all right?
And
Yeah, we can see this. Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so basically, hi, my name is Max Schronegold, and here's my 2-lane depot. Before I get into the final design, let's talk about like the design process and the purpose of this warehouse. So this project all began with the research into artifacts and preservation of them. So here we have 3 artifacts. One is this beautiful vase. The other is, I forgot what this is called, but it has to do with like movement and it's like ancient artifacts. Another one as well. And these are all from the Chilean Newcomb Institute. So I chose these 3 objects, and they all kind of highlight the idea of movement in their own ways. Specifically, this one has to do with movement and creating spaces in here, as you can see between the hatches and the movement. This one, again, creating these like slight hatches and like openings in it. This one with the line weight going in and out. So the theme of movement became a focal point for my design. How will people move throughout this warehouse? How will the artifacts travel from one place to another, specifically from delivery to display? And like I really wanted to think about how people would experience this, because in the end, like that's the most important thing. So the next step was designing. So I ran to jump around a little bit because this is out of order. With designing how base ideas of movement and space. So in this one, which would translate into my final design,
Yes, these are the.
I created a focal point.
Can I interrupt just a moment for the reviewers? These are the figure field drawings that we began with.
Yes, these are the initial drawings. And this one specifically, it's creating that center point, which could be used, and then people could spread out from there. That translates into my concept design, which is, again, showing how one would move throughout the space. And you'll see in my plan in 1 second how this would translate into my plan. But basically in this real quick, we have this gray area, this dark gray area, which represents the movement for people space. And this light gray area at the top represents the movement of the artifacts getting put into the depot and then out into display. So it's really trying to create a relationship between artifact and people and how those would connect with each other. So yeah, here we go. Here's the plan. One would enter through the start, which is over here and can make their way throughout the space. The center point of the design is the shelves. You want to see the shelves and have to travel around the shelves in order to get to each space. And I get that like a lot of people sometimes wouldn't want to see shelves when they walk into a warehouse, but I wanted to continue the theme that this is a warehouse, and that is the primary purpose of it. So seeing like the shelves first would remind people that they're here in a warehouse as well, and they can also find these places for display, specifically over here at the waterfront. Quick isometric, again, showing the exterior a bit. I created these panels on the outside to deal with the sunlight coming in. The sunlight moves throughout from this side over here and comes around and finishes on this side over here. And being in New Orleans, the sun can be extremely bright. Depending on the time of year, it can be very low. So it's important to find ways to dim the sunlight, which is the purpose of these panels. Here's a sectional drawing, again, focusing on how people are walking through the space. Another section. All right, so here to the perspectives. Before I start, each perspective flows into each other. So this would like represent someone moving throughout the space. So this one would actually start from the office space over here. So this person standing over here, and they're going to move their way through eventually to over here. So let's get back, sorry. So yeah, start over here, artifact over there. Person looking out toward the river, see the shelves, see the exhibition space. And showing the shelves, and this constant movement around the shelves. So one could make their way through the middle while also going around to these other spaces. Here's a display space looking into another meeting room. And yeah, that's what I've got.
You want me to start, Guillermo, this time?
Okay, we kind of rotate.
Yeah,
each one.
we can switch. Yeah,
Perfect.
You can interrupt me anytime. Okay, Max, congratulations. I think that your presentation was really, really interesting. I really appreciate your sentence, like how people will experience those artifacts. And also I really appreciate in the way that you present us the artifact that is gonna be displayed, because now we can have a kind of idea on which kind of pedestals we can imagine, and also with the idea of the movement that you have expressed. Could you explain a little bit more that idea that you say that about central point and then people spread out? Which is that central point?
In this point, this would be the central point right here.
That one.
Now that was a little bit different in my original.
Okay. Yeah. But the idea is the same.
But the idea is the same, yes. So it's really like, how can I essentially, if I was in here without knowing that there was an entrance, how could I continue to walk around without finding a way out almost?
Yeah, I agree with that. If we want to emphasize that idea, okay, we need to try to make a kind of hierarchy of the spaces. So in terms of circulation, I think that you are working really, really well. But it's true that if we want to emphasize that space, maybe that space needs to be a little bit bigger. Huh? So that means that maybe has not the same hierarchy as the other corridors that are around, right? If you want to emphasize that idea, okay, from this central point, this is a kind of meeting point, and then people walk around and they has their own experience, right? Like, it's true that sometimes when we have some exhibition, we need to have a kind of a start point and then an end point, okay? Because the exhibition or the displays needs to be read like that. But in in another type of exhibition, it's like, okay, feel like you are in your home and try to explore the displays, right? So I think that can be your idea. I really also like the idea of having your waterfront, everything is open, and also how you have wrapped around your building with those vertical fins that makes a kind of mimic of your president. I've seen your president, that is a colleague of you, okay, with the same name, Max, also. And I really, really like, and also for New Orleans, it's true that New Orleans has a very hot climate. So I think that is really, really interesting and a smart idea to have those vertical things that are working really, really well for the east and west facade. And also, and if you want to go further, also those vertical fins, they can have a kind of movement, mechanical movement in which you can move around the day, you know, but that is more advanced.
Actually, I was wondering, like, when you say that, do you mean like the being slanted on like different angles, or would it
Yeah,
be?
sometimes we have that possibility that sometimes we can find on the market those vertical things that can be fixed, but another time you have some of them in which you can move. So that is really, really great. Okay, but I think that this is more advanced, but
Yeah,
just
that's
to
right.
have
That's
in
second,
mind.
yeah, that's second year. I bet
Yeah,
you're-
yeah.
that's-
Second and third
Yeah.
year, right?
When I was
What's
looking at some
funny
ideas,
about-
I saw a lot of different presidents that had those different angles
Yeah.
and how they would like move around. I considered it, but I didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In that, you know, in the hottest afternoon, the sun is in a position, so you turn it so it's actually, you know, blocking it, and then as the sun sets, and it, you know, moves it around. But those are, yeah, that's great. That's advanced. You could almost get a computer kind of can do that work.
Yeah.
I just have one little question while we're on the plant. Is that texturing on the floor? That's the first time I've seen that. Has that always been in your plan drawing? What is that representing?
No, I actually added that in because I wanted to show the relationship between the concept design
Yeah.
and the actual final plan to just designate these different spaces and like how they're different from one another.
I think, Max, that this is a matter of testing, okay? Because it's true that with your hats, I think that are not beneficial for your project. I think that you have a great project, and it's true that the hats is probably is because you have a big variety. So I will try to change them, and maybe some of the, imagine, circulation could be without any hats. So also it's kind of highlight your circulation, but I will try to change the pattern of your hats, probably as you have a kind of very orthogonal hierarchy here in your plans. Maybe those which are the vertical lines or the horizontal lines are going to benefit your project, because it's true that now it's like a kind of mess with those kind of hats. But it's a matter of testing. It's just testing.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
you print and you
For sure.
decide.
I was experimenting a little bit. You know?
Yeah, even in
out.
concept board, that the hatches are pretty much lighter. They seem better, you know. So it's kind of how do you express them and how they finally result, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me jump in a little bit on this. There was one thing that I'm trying to understand is that I thought, you know, the rooms that are in the corners, the display spaces, those are glass, interior glass walls. Is that right?
No, they're not.
Oh, okay. Because I always, for
And
some
in the
reason,
end, I purposely didn't do that to section off the different spaces.
yeah, that's,
Here,
so
I'll
you
just show you the
so
perspective.
yeah,
You could still,
of reading the light is as high, and then there's moments where you see the windows and the light. So that what you're doing, okay. All right.
yeah, and I realized having these be glass would actually disrupt the artifacts, as a number of artifacts would have to be removed from sunlight.
Sure.
Therefore, sunlight can get in from the top, but wouldn't be directly hitting the shelving.
Yeah. And what then happens is that like that moment there where you see out into the city is really important because it opens it up. So, okay. Yeah, so you're being selective on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea because you're having like different responses for different situations. So I think in that way it's really interesting. How do you have like flexibility but within your own system? So I think that's great. um, I would definitely not. I'm not entering in more detailed aspects of this solar control, but I would just I would probably add the orientation. So at least to give it like more more detail within the system that you build with the solar shading and solar control, because of course when you have a west facade, the response should be different that from an east facade or a south. So but of course, as Michael was saying, these are things that you'll need to enter probably at second year or third year. uh, as well as, for example, the skylight that probably here in New Orleans we have a really kind of hard sun that probably if you have a skylight without any protection, maybe you'll get like direct sun to these objects that are probably need to be taken care of pretty carefully. But like overall, I think it's a good thing that you're already thinking about these solar shading, these kind of systems, and how you can in some way relate to the specific location you are working on. So I think that was good. I also think that the objects you're presenting are really interesting. Just like a few details of your presentation, I would definitely would try to show in the diagram, at least maybe if you don't have a key or with more detail, just even to show, for example, with an arrow, where's the entry, so we can like pretty quickly understand um, the main features about your diagrams, and maybe try to prepare your presentation, try to have an order in your presentation. I think as Sonsole said, your presentation was really good in terms of what you were saying, but you were like returning to a previous slide and go to the to one
Yeah,
that
I know.
after
I thought we were doing a concept board. I have it listed in the right
yeah
order.
but it's
On
just
this
a
PDF,
thing
I
like
don't. Yeah, I for sure.
it's a detail like for next next year presentations, or for next for your next steps of your of your career. Just try to have it like maybe even kind of a really small script, because you said like pretty interesting things, but sometimes as we don't have much time, it gets a little more confusing, and maybe distract us from the really interesting things about your project. But um, just for the future, I think it was a really good presentation. The drawings were pretty good. The ones that, for example, these kind of hatches or things that I was looking at, they're I'm not that convinced. When I saw them on concept board, they look much more they look much better. So so congratulations on your presentation and project.
Great, thank you so much.
Great. How are we doing on time?
Perfect.
Is that right, Ethan?
Yep. And we're gonna switch back over. Brian, you all ready?
Yes, I just gotta log into the Zoom from the desktop.
Yeah, and with regards to Max, just for future reference, if I had to guess what your problem was with your PDF presentation, there's a box called Enhance Thin Lines that you need to have checked off. Since as architects, we like to keep our lines pretty thin. And I think that's why your drawings look so thickened in PDF.
Yeah, I think I have that on my desktop here, but not on my laptop.
Yeah, and for everyone, turn off Enhance Thick Lines.
Also, to present, you just do Command L like on a desktop for Mac.
Okay, are we ready? Great.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Good.
Don't forget to put it in full screen.
Okay.
I'm gonna remind everyone.
Nice, yeah.
Nope, nope. View, view, and then full screen mode, or Control L.
Okay, control. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Okay. Hello, my name is Brian Montenegro, and I present to you my interpretation of the artifact gallery space. So my main driving force throughout the design and iteration process was a diagram of a U shape and how that would end up decaying the human circulation throughout the space. So let me go to that diagram. In my project, the most public spaces ended up being near the front of the building or the bottom of the U, while the most private are to the side and to the back of the U. I loved that circulation because it felt both active while also being organized and sectioned off. You can see that in the floor plan right here. In addition, another design aspect I honed in on was linearity and horizontal spaces. As you can see in the sections, as you can see in the sections, the main frame of the building is even and linear, while its insides are split into different parts as to serve the multitude of uses of the space. This juxtaposition of simplicity and complexity interested me greatly and can also be seen in the contrast between the floor plan and the roof, seen right here. From the sky, one would see a simple plane with two oval skylights cut out, though when that is taken off, a complex U-shaped office is revealed, one that holds a gallery space, research center, garage, office complex, and common work area. I love the fact that all of this can be hidden within a simplified form. In terms of this complex and geometric scheme, a precedent that influenced my design greatly was the Diamond House A1 by John Hedgehock, seen here. In his design, you can see his orthogonal design and how it manifests different private nooks and crannies, something that was driven through the design of my own floor plan as well. In addition, A1's design has the remnants of a U shape, which I amplified and exaggerated in my own floor plan as well. All in all, the outcome of the building was a play between simplicity and refined shapes versus intricate room organization, though neither are more or less important, but are both vital to the final project as a whole. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Perspectives? Do you have, there we go. You want to walk us through the perspectives? Well, slowly.
Yeah, yes.
What we're looking at. Yeah, this shows your space. This shows all about the space that you've designed.
Yes,
Really,
yes. So the perspectives I want to be like kind of like cinematic, almost like you were really in there yourself.
Okay.
So as you can see, I like to put a lot of figures and things to make it a little more active, to make the space look, used. So here you can also see, this is like the more private area. So as you can tell, like the more private the spaces got, the less figures I'd put. So this right here, those are basically two workers that would be able to go into the shelving for all the artifacts. So this is the last one. And then this is in contrast to, like, this is a main public area where the main gallery is, with the glass wall showing the shelving. Because I wanted the public people to be able to see the shelving, but obviously not get straight to it, because I don't know if regular people can handle very expensive artifacts. And this is another view with the glass view of the window of the Mississippi River to the back and the skylight to the top. And then this is also another space where, you know, workers are to the right cleaning while people are walking in and out of the gallery space. It's a woman on her phone, maybe taking a picture of the big B mic painting onto the left. So I wanted to make it look, you know, how it was supposed to be used.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, comments?
Okay. Thank you, Brian, for your presentation and for your excitement of your project. I really like that. I would definitely would love to see like the sections and some of your drawings a little more slowly and a little more with a little more detail. But just a few quick comments while I look again at the concept board. I really love the objects that you selected, and I think that your line weight and your drawing expression in those objects was really good. I was also interested in the relationship between a more orthogonal plan and these circular and more organic shapes that you used for skylights, but also for the furniture. I don't know if you can go to the plan. Here I don't know if it's the resolution or it's the screen, but it's a little hard to,
Yeah, it's very light on my screen.
yeah, in mine also.
It's really hard for me to actually see the plan.
The resolution is kind of poor on, I don't know, maybe it might be the screen or something, but.
And can you explain a little bit the way you organize the plan? I noticed you have the entry through, you have the access through the entry plaza. Then you have kind
Yes.
of, can you walk us into your building?
Yes. So I really wanted the entry to be through the center of the main, like from the front. I was really interested in that because I wanted to be like kind of grand in a sense. So you walk in through the center, and then the most, like I said, the most public spaces are to the front. So right here, this is like the entry lobby where it's like a big ottoman where you can sit, some benches over here, the front desk, and then those lead to two public bathrooms, one women, one men's. So that's like to here. And then one would walk through a really small opening. I like the idea of like a small opening, which takes you into like a really grand space with like skylights and stuff. So you walk in there, and then this is all public area right here where people can walk and see artifacts with some shelving over here. And then a little like abstract little couch where you can see the Mississippi River. But then from here, that's basically where the public area kind of cuts off, where you would need private access with like a special key to get into the office space, which is down the side of the U. So as you can see, like circulation kind of moves this way. So people with like special keys would have to go to the office area, where there's a big meeting room, two small office areas. And then to the right of the gallery space, one would also need special access for that as well, where you'd have to go to the receiving area, where this is where like I would imagine trucks would come with different artifacts. People working know how to handle artifacts would come over here, and that would lead to the research area, which is over here, which is going up the right side of the U, and this is really research and everything. And then this side, this is the common work area where people can just do some work, chat, maybe have a meal or something for lunch, and then a little bathroom right here for that area. So basically, like the main circulation is down the sides of the U.
I'm on mute. Sorry. Go up to your diagram. Sorry. So yeah, I mean, you keep talking about it as a U shape diagram. Isn't that what you're saying? But
Yes.
it's just not quite that clear. So I don't know if there's some things you might want to sort of resolve in your diagram and plan to get that closer to that. Because the earlier schemes that we've seen so far, the plans have been really tight and really clear on that. So I think that you might need a little bit more work on your diagramming, and then that translates into the plan itself. I don't know what the reviewers think, but I'm just for me. I don't know.
Yeah, I was having like the same that's why I was asking, because I didn't see a clear relation between this U shape and the plan. So that's why I was asking Brian to talk more about it.
Good point.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe the entrance for the loading dock, maybe, I don't know, maybe you could switch that for the study area, so you can have a more clear diagram that you have a big space that goes all the way from one facade to the other one. And because right now it feels a little strange for having this space for trucks and vans and whatever vehicle is getting in there to load, or to, I don't know, to deliver some special materials or whatever. But I think in that sense, that's where the diagram starts of this U shape start to disappear, so maybe that's the key point where you probably need to focus. You can
That's a good point. Yeah.
you can also see it in your diagram, if that that area was with the same color as the rest, that would be a new shape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely agree with Michael and Guillermo. It's true that, Brian, you are speaking about a U shape, and for me, I think it's not a U shape, but it can be still organized in strips, okay, instead to be a U shape, which is gonna be easy with the layout that you have, okay. One thing that makes me, okay, this loading dock, it's true that may be huge, and you also could reduce it could be reduced, but also at the same time, I'm thinking about, imagine that this is your public area, okay, and from time to time also you have the opportunity to use that space as a cover space, outdoor space, because I imagine that the trucks and the vans are going to work at night. They are not going to work in the middle of the day. So in general, all of the storage and so on is not at the same time that the building is working, right? So that can be an option. So, and you can have a kind of strategy in which you have this public area. This is more or less your entrance, and this is more private. Okay, so you can organize also in strips instead to tell that it's a U shape. You could start with a U shape, but at the end, when you lay out, maybe you find out, okay, for my concept and for my project, maybe it's better to organize in strips, okay? And different gradation of privacy. So you can have a kind of private space, semi-private space, and then a public space, okay? That's one thing. Another thing, like Daniela, okay, watch out with your columns in the middle of your corridor because you are making narrow. So be smart and embed it into your cells, okay? And another thing is that, why do you have your columns in black? Just your columns. So because It's weird, okay? If you are making poche, you are doing poche for everything, for the walls and for the, okay? Otherwise, I will keep it just
Right.
without any
Follow.
hats.
Yeah, you
Okay.
have to be consistent. Yeah, it has to be
Yeah.
consistent. We talked about that. You know, if you're pocheting everything that's cut above 4 feet is pocheted. If you're not using poche, you'd use a heavier line that represents the section pieces. But you
Yeah.
don't want to mix them up because it then becomes very confusing.
That's,
So,
I think it's
that's an easy fix on that.
yeah, it's really easy to fix, and also it's really easy to fix to make shorter your cells. Otherwise, you don't have a space. If you make a zoom in over here, I know that you are working with PDF, but if you make a zoom in over here, at least you need to have the same distance as you have for the door, because imagine that with a trolley. So if I have 2 doors to get inside to that space, I should have at least the same distance for the corridor, okay? And I think that this is also really easy to fix, because if you go to your perspectives, look at your perspectives. You have a beautiful perspectives. Go to the next one. Okay, this is beautiful because you don't have any column, right?
Yeah,
And I imagine, okay, here I can see the Mississippi River, but I imagine in the other view that I'm looking on the loading dock, but with a kind of tables, open space, outdoor space, so we can use when the trucks and the vans are not there. This space is beautiful. If you go to the next one,
This one.
this
Right
one,
here, or
look at your column in the middle. You see?
yeah.
This is the problem.
You can
Right.
embed it. Much
Yeah.
interesting, okay?
I've also told them that, I mean, the columns can be a lot smaller. We talked about that. I know they're in the brief, they had them pretty large, but that may be if they were be laminated wood. But we talked about sort of thinner columns that somehow get buried into things. So definitely, yeah, that would be really.
But I think that this is really easy fix. Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
But in general, I think that, yeah, great project. Just change the concept. Instead to be a U-shape, it will be a kind of different strips, and make those fixes really quick. And that's all, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, and that's all the time we have. So now we're going to wrap up this first block with Charlotte. Are you all good to go? Awesome. Take us away.
All right. Thanks, you.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Charlotte Kelly. I'm a first-year student on the 5-year Bachelor of Architecture track. Thank you so much for taking the time to review our work, and looking forward to your feedback. So just to reiterate, this assignment of the Tulane Depot is meant to house all of the various archives currently at Tulane in one building. So it uses the site of Tidy Work in Crescent Park, located in the Bywater district of New Orleans. And the existing park is a repurposing of industrial warehouse spaces between the Mississippi River and the train tracks parallel to the water. So after hearing from some of the employees from the various archives, I was interested in a trend I saw of artifacts that showcased handcraft across cultures and time periods. And these artifacts kind of pose a juxtaposition to the context of the industrial site and sort of bring the focus back to specialized craftsmanship versus large-scale machinery. So I picked out 3 different artifacts to study first, to kind of explore. And so this first one is a Mayan marble condor vase from 500 AD or so. This is my smallest artifact. This next one is a paper mache Mardi Gras head from the late 20th century, which is a different form of craftsmanship, a different culture. And finally, this Dutch Renaissance cabinet made of oak from the 19th century. And so from here, I kind of started to experiment with how archive shelving would create spaces within the building using the figure and field assignment.
So I took the precedent of the Parc de la Villette by OMA rental house to start out with, because of the various different patterns and schemes they have for different programs at the park. So this confetti grid system that they use, I took into my idea of the archive shelves to kind of, it's the same system of a grid, but it focuses more on individualized spaces within the shelves. And then I decided this one kind of, the problems with it was complicated for organization. If you were actually researching and trying to find a specific artifact, there isn't a clear system with how to find something. And on the site, it wouldn't take advantage of the view from all sides. And then once you're actually in the spaces, the shelves are so tall and long that they wouldn't create as much of an intimate space as it seems and planned. So I explored the Parc de la Villette project further and looked at this idea of strips they used in another part of the program. So I kind of finalized this further with a more detailed diagram. And so in this one, it has a more clear transition of private to public space, black being the most private, and as it gets lighter, it gets more private. And this has a very clear circulation system, very easy to organize the spaces. And also you're able to see the view from the building better. So this is my finalized plan. Again, this is the entrance space here. This is a glass threshold. You walk in, and this is an open gallery space, kind of combined with a more open concept of a reading room. So and you can kind of circulate around here. There is an aisle of pedestals here in the center, which again allows for a view from the river from all points. The back of house here is where the loading dock is. There's kind of this open workspace, and employees can work at artifacts as they come in. And then along this west side, there's offices, and it opens up into the gallery space here along the end. And this corner spot is really the best view on the site. It looks straight downtown, and then the Mississippi River can also be seen from here. And so these are my sections. From here, I established a more clear root system that went with my idea. So the most logical thing was Saint-Clair story roof system. It's perfect for the artifacts because it utilizes indirect northern light. This is north over here, while kind of protecting from the south. And it also very clearly follows the parallel strips that I used in plan, and it lines up with all of the columns. You can see here, oops, sorry about that. I chose to use a window bar as kind of like reading room tables, so they're not clearly spaced off. It's kind of a more open concept of reading room, but they're still very worked into the space. This is a north-facing section. It cuts through the bookshelves, and you can kind of start to see into the offices that have glass walls. So clearly from the office, you can see all the way down the building into the shelves. And this is a conference room space on the left. This is a more zoomed in section that kind of clearly you can see how open the plan is. There are no walls that it's cutting through here. So this is kind of an elevation of the west office spaces that have glass walls. And this is kind of the end of the gallery space, which has that really great view. This is my axonometric. You can very clearly see how it's situated on the site, with the river being here. You can also clearly see how the roof protects from the southern light, and you can start to see the open northern spaces. And then these are my perspectives. Again, you can clearly see the view and the idea of natural light. And these are the gallery spaces. You can see this kind of window bar system. Just along the south side, I have these panel mullions that also kind of act as a way to diffuse some of the direct light, as well as create a little bit of intimacy within the spaces here if you're researching and want to have like a little bit of privacy. This is a perspective of the aisle within the bookshelves. This is one of the artifacts I chose that showed craftsmanship the paper mache had, and you can clearly see all the way from the end.
I'm going to jump in. When she first showed this drawing of the paper mache head, I didn't realize it was the large, and then now we see it in context how big that thing is. It's great.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Yeah, and yeah, so you can clearly see the river all the way from the end into the glass office space. In this perspective, also these are the west offices on the right. You can kind of very clearly see the obvious circulation system. It looks out onto the Mississippi Bridge here on the south side. And this is my final perspective that shows this glass threshold space before you walk in. The building in theory obstructs the view from the entry plaza, but I found a way to really make it clear, even from the outside, you can kind of see through all the building from the gallery space. And this is a solid wall here that kind of protects the archives and has a very clear hierarchy of space. And this is my project, and I'm looking forward to feedback. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Beautiful, Charlotte. Beautiful presentation, beautiful project, beautiful perspectives. I think that's more or less you have achieved all the goals, right?
Yes.
I think that, okay, I'm not really agree that your president, Parc de la Villette, correspond with your project. And I know that you lose that at the beginning, but that's fine. Sometimes we start with a precedent, we learn about it, and we change our mind and we apply in a different ways, which is really nice. Too many things to congratulate you. The open plan, you have a clear strategy. Your hierarchy in your corridors are great. Also, that open plan gives you the flexibility to use the space in the way that you want. So you can change easily, okay? So you can have an open space, and then with different furniture or cells or whatever, you can configure another distribution. Also, the experience through the views are amazing. That corner that you mentioned, which is a kind of a strategy point in which you have this glazing facade protected with these panel mullions also. I think that, yeah, it's really clear. And also, I'm imagining that, for example, for your the way that you introduce the daylight in your project also is really interesting, because you are looking not for a direct daylight. You want to have it a diffuse, and it's true that when the light hits this glazing, it's going to hit again to the ceiling, and it's going to make like that. And also, if that orientation is north, will be great. I don't know if it's that north.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
That's the north orientation, yeah.
That is great, because you are not going to have any kind of sun, and you are not going to have any kind of glare. So that daylight is really good for reading, and also for not having glare. So I think that is impressive. Can I ask you to go through again to your slide, just to delete us a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. Which one?
Whatever. I really like your project.
Yeah, just walk back through the perspective. Yeah. We can just see the whole thing.
Yeah, that is beautiful. Very beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, it's true that I didn't understand at the beginning in your floor plan, because you have those elements are had in your floor plan, and I didn't know if it was going to be a tall shelf, or it was going to be a kind of pedestal, which is really great, right? Go. Yeah. That's window bar system is really, really nice. And also how you have integrated your columns with your mullions is really, really smart. And leaving that space just like open space and integrate all of them in those elements. Perfect. I think that this has a clear strategy, and congratulations.
Yeah, I have to probably repeat some things of Sonsoles said, because I totally agree with her, and I definitely want to congratulate you, Charlotte, because I think it was a really good presentation. You from the start, I think the objects you picked and how you draw them, you have a really good line weight and details in all of the objects. I really like the idea of this kind of, it's kind of a mix, because it's kind of an open floor plan, but at the same time you kind of you are protecting with some strategies the objects right in the middle. So I think that's really good, and even in this perspective we can see that that as Sonsoles said, that gives you flexibility. You can order these shelves in different ways, because you have this open plan. So I think that's a really good idea. You had the sections are really clear, and they explain the project really good, and they explain these ceilings that we could not see in plan. The perspectives were great, and just like a few, like two details, like in the last perspective, I think you need to look at the scale of this person. I think it's a little big in relation to the entrance. And if you go to the floor plan, the only thing I would say, like, to maybe that you can improve, I don't know, like the structure, you know, I think you could arrange these shelves in a way that maybe fits better, you know, because let me know if I can, like, for example, here, you know, you make the shelves a little smaller, but these ones are a little larger, and here they are like right in the middle of the shelves. So maybe you can think about a way of making the shelves more shorter, and maybe have more shelves, or a different way to arrange that, so it doesn't seem like it's like the structure is kind of bothering your general scheme, you know. But I think it's pretty good, and I would definitely would add the structure as you done here. I would try to do the same in the other way, so you have like the full this full scheme of the structure in all of the plan. But it's just a detail that I think you can improve like really easily, and it would make your whole scheme a little more consistent. But I think it's a really great project, and yeah, like, we only probably have to congratulate you, and to totally keep going, you know.
I think, Charlotte, just if you complete yourselves wrapping around your column, it will be fine. It's true that I'm going to give you an advice. For example, that door, right? We need to control a little bit how we open, because if the coach is really, really close to that, it will better to open the door like that. Okay, so that is a small thing that is really, really easy. Here again, never open the door against the wall. So you want to see the whole bedroom, the whole living room, the whole room. Okay, and I think that is very easy fix. Okay, it's just like that, but this is small details.
Okay, thank you.
No,
All
very,
right.
yeah, very nice project. So if we
Excellent.
go all the way back to the diagram, her diagram is actually what? If she had to go back and re-diagram. Yeah. So this idea, I don't know. Let's go. Let me see your plan, because I mean, if we really, we could argue maybe that, okay,
I think that the diagram is okay.
that's a band. This
Yeah.
is a band.
Yeah, definitely.
This can be thought of as a band.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a circulation that could be a band. Keep going all the way down through. So I think that I think your diagram, if you redid your diagram, go back. Oh, let me clear this.
And also we should wrap up in like 2
Oh, we are
minutes.
finished?
Yeah, we're up to time.
Oh, we're at the time. I'm sorry. Yeah. So maybe you could, like, if you wanted to redo that diagram slightly, you could really see it more as bands, and then that would be correspond. It's beautiful to see it next to the plan. But very nice project. We're gonna stop now for our break. Is that right, Ethan?
That's right. It's 10:23. We're going to be taking a 11-minute break. So at 10:35, we're going to meet again back in the Zoom room.
We come back what time?
10:35.
10:35. Okay. Yeah, great job so far. Thank you all, and great comments. So we're going to take a little break. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So Cheryl, you still there? Or is everybody taking a break?
I'm still there. Yeah.
So I'm going to draw again on your diagram. I'm going to
Okay.
draw on this. Let's see. So the idea that was a band, then this can be that circulation right in front of it can be thought of as a band. Then the idea of the shelving is a band. Then you've got an open band. You could just set up all this as bands all the way down through. And then the last band, is that public space. I was wondering, that was a great drawing that you did of the exterior. No one, if we had time, everyone could have, that's a great location to do that. But I'm wondering, do you have room to move it back so that you would have a band along the end that's outdoor, at the edge of the wharf? It'd be an
In
outdoor.
mine, yeah, in mine I kind of
Right now,
use
you're
the,
right up against the edge of the wharf, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, it kind of goes up to the end of the wharf, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean, if you slid the building back slightly, then you'd have like a little walk area there at the end of the wharf that people could walk, along and look back into the building, and have a railing and look at but that's just a little detail. Yeah, but great, very nice project. Thank you.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, I'm gonna clear my mess. There we go. And I'm on this, and I'm on
Okay, everyone, if you could just turn on your camera so I know you're back. I think we're still waiting on a few people, but we'll get started in just a minute.
I need to leave at 11. I don't know if Michael is.
Oh, no one
aware of
told you that? No.
Yeah.
Ah.
I sent to Adam an email because at 11 I have a meeting. And if I finish before, I can come back, but otherwise at 1 also I have my studio.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie. Well, we'll definitely be done by 1. We were set up to wrap up around 12:30.
I have 30
I'm sorry to
minutes.
hear.
No, that's fine. If I finish before, I can come back.
All right.
Well, we
Well-
can take a shorter, or we can take a short break from the next segment, huh? Just do real short. Yeah.
She'll be gone by then.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we're going to begin with Kate already.
Yep.
Ready.
Take it away.
Okay. I'm just gonna put it in the full screen.
It's the one that says full screen mode.
Oh, yes, exactly what I'm looking for. Okay. Can you see?
No, we actually, at least on my screen, I'm not seeing it right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not seeing.
Interesting.
Make sure you share your screen and not the PDF tab when you do the screen share. So try stop
Okay.
sharing and then reshare, but share like screen 1 instead of Adobe PDF.
Sure. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, desktop 1. Okay, how is that?
Yeah, we can see it, but like when you go on the full screen, we'll see if it works.
Okay.
Yep, perfect.
Okay, great. Thank you for bearing with me. So hi, my name is Kate Galvin, and this is my design process for the 2-lane archive depot. Oh, it's on the wrong one, I'm sorry. Before creating my own design, I visited the Hogan Jazz Archive and drew small, medium, and large objects that relate to music. The first one here is a mini musician sculpture. The next one is a painting of Louis Armstrong, and the last one is an antique jukebox. For the figure field aspect of this assignment, I explored a circular and rectangular shelving in spatial schemes for viewing these objects. Then I applied my circular scheme to my own depot design, as it inspired me differently than the precedents did. The main entrance, if you could see my cursor, can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Okay, great. The main entrance is here, and one can walk basically anywhere they choose to go, including outdoors, and they can find help in the center of the main gallery. The white space is the most public, and the dark is the most private, and this is clear in the plan. This building features spaces not in the brief to utilize the space given, such as a kitchenette right over here, an outdoor patio space, and a mezzanine with intimate raised reading rooms, which is a rule that was intentionally broken to enhance the experience of using a reading room and looking over the main gallery space of the design. In section, the overall height of the building and its relationship to context is heightened, as you can see in both of them. This perspective is from the mezzanine, and it looks out across the space of the building and onto the water. And this perspective is from inside one of the reading rooms, and it highlights the glass walls. This one is from the outdoor space that I was talking about that looks out onto the water. And this last one is from the entrance to the building. And finally, this is an exploded isometric that puts the building into context. And thank you, Vance, for your feedback. I can move back to any slides.
Yeah, you want to walk us backwards through everything, and then we'll to the diagram.
Sure.
The slow, you're going too fast.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted to go right to the diagram.
No, we want to go slow so we can look at things, you know. You kind of rushed through your presentation. There's a few things you didn't really explain, I think, to the reviewers. And one is that this outdoor porch that's, you know, and also the mezzanine there. That leave that section right there because that's showing that stuff. So you want to talk a little bit about those two things?
Sure. So this is the mezzanine right here, and it has a glass handrail, and the reading room space would be right here. They're not closed, but this is just shelving that's light gray here, and the chairs would be inside for the desk. And here is just space for people to migrate through the reading rooms and look out over the gallery space and see through these windows out into the water.
How you arrive it?
I'm sorry?
How you arrive to the mezzanine?
Oh, sure. Hold on one second.
Okay, sorry.
Through the loading dock, there's a elevator and there's also a stair.
Okay.
Can you go? Oh, sorry, Guillermo, go ahead.
No, go. Ask. So I was just looking at the plan.
Okay, can you go back again to your diagram and to explain a little bit? Okay, your concept. Sure. What is? Yeah, because you were saying something like I decided to go with the circular shaping because of my precedent. Which is your precedent? Right.
So this is from the figure field aspect of the 3.2 assignment that we had, and this design just sort of came into my head, and I didn't use a precedent for it. And when I did look at precedents, such as Parc de la Villette, I was more drawn to this design, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I seen on your concept board, you have a floor plan of Louis Kahn. Is it yours?
Wait,
yeah.
Say that again.
Do you have a precedent, which is a library from Louis Kahn?
Oh yeah, the Exeter Library. Yeah, that's on my concept board. I forgot to take that off.
Okay, I think that is your goal for your project, because your project responds more to that precedent.
Hello, how are you? I'm ready to pick up my boxes.
Daniela, you gotta. I just muted her.
Mute them. Yeah, now go to your diagram and then your plan. Your diagram. Okay, and then what she's saying is that you looked specifically at the Lucan's Exeter Library.
Yeah. And for me, those are more or less the servant space.
Yes.
And that space in the middle will be the service space, which is the space in which you are going to use actively. Yeah. Okay.
So next to this diagram, you definitely should put the plan or the diagram of the Exeter.
Yeah, because it's an excellent project and also has sense with the concept of your bars that you have. Even if it's true that each of your bars has a different distinction because are more public or more private, but it seems that all of this space contains facilities, rooms, or whatever, and the space that you have within those spaces is the space in which you develop the display or whatever you have there, right? So that is one thing that you should highlight because it's important, and also it makes your project much more interesting. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very important.
I think that you have a main axis, which is that one, right? Okay. That you could also explode a little bit, but I think that it's working okay. It's true that I miss some porosity.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, go to your plan.
Beautiful.
Go to your plan.
Yeah.
Go down to your plan.
Sure.
So what she's saying is that you come in an entrance and you kind of move through and you have that special space in the middle. And then as you move out to the end, is that a conference room or what is that on the other side? That's a
Which
conference.
one?
Well,
This one right here?
if we were to draw a line and we walk through the space, yeah, right in there, at the end of that, she was thinking that, maybe that becomes open or that if that's a glass conference
Or
room.
a kind of porosity to make a kind of a kind of frame of your landscape that you have in front, which is the Mississippi and the city, right? That would be nice. So imagine that this is glazing and also you have glazing here. Yes, as you have one main axis, I think that you are framing the landscape. So that's an option, right? And then you have another opportunity, which is secondary, that is your outdoor space, right?
Yes, those are good points.
Okay, that mezzanine that you have shown us, which is really, really interesting in section. I think that probably you are the only one that I've seen that you are working in section in 2 levels. So this is really, really interesting. Is it for public? Is it for public or is more private?
It's semi-public, semi-private because the reading rooms are meant to be used by a minimal number of people, just because there would be one chair and one desk.
These are where researchers would work, right? Isn't that right?
Right.
We're researchers.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And the space in which you hold your course, is it public or private?
I would say it's more private just because it's the loading dock.
Okay, so think about that, because if you have your stairs to arrive to your mezzanine in a private space, and you pretend that people that is from the exterior is going to use the mezzanine, those cores needs to be allocated in a space in which everybody can.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Because if you
go
go to your plan.
Go back to your plan. I bet there's another space that you could put that stair in. That you could tuck it in. It could be off of the circulation there, and it wouldn't have to go through.
Because are really, in my opinion, is like is more private because are really high, right? So I don't know if there is an opportunity to place them over there and take it from here, and also take it from here. I don't know. Okay, which is more public, and you leave it the rest of the space for the private space.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
That can be an idea.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then control a little bit the hierarchy of the space, okay? So watch out this dimension and watch out that dimension, okay? Otherwise, if you make bigger, it's because there is a reason. So maybe this is bigger because also you have a, I don't know, in between in that corridor is not only a corridor, it's a kind of exhibition or whatever, but watch out, be careful with your hierarchy of the corridors, because always has a sense. If they have the same dimension, that means that has the same quality. If one is bigger than the other, it's because you want to emphasize and something else is happening on there.
Can you go to your perspective that's from the mezzanine? Because this is something that's kind of been a issue. Well, we gave them sort of a grid that was 30 by 30 for the column structure, but they do have options of moving things around. And notice that where she sort of has her columns, they end up being kind of in places maybe they don't really need to be. So so that
maybe in the middle,
become a 20 by 20 grid or a 20 by 30 or something different. So you don't. I know that they. Give them the 30,
it's difficult. For them. It's first year. Also, Kate, I will encourage you to work a little bit on your line work, because probably if you make lighter, it's gonna be really beautiful. Now it's really dark. I don't know, maybe printed is okay, but on Zoom, digital is a little bit darker, your lines.
I've been having...
What should she do? With that line weight. Is Ethan there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of line weight, you know, what Sensolis is talking about, I mean, it really is coming out real dark in the, you know, but I don't know in if you were to print it, what it would be this dark, but on the
I know
screen.
you're.
Yeah.
No, it would be this dark, I believe. And I think she was having a lot of trouble with lines coming on too thin. And then I think basically, Kate, you might have overcorrected too much.
Because this is a great drawing.
Yeah,
And this,
yeah.
I mean, you know, to have this mezzanine space that people can get up and look, you see the whole thing, you know, it's beautiful. And you see through and you see the river, all that. That's great. So yeah, we don't figure out your line weights on that to get that really to be a nice, that's a
that
great.
mezzanine is really, really beautiful. And I will say that it's for every public, you know, because it's really, really beautiful. So that's why I will allocate your stairs close to those corridors that you have bigger. So once the people get into your building, they will realize that they have a stair and also they are seeing the mezzanine and everybody's going to go for it, you know, because it's a kind of gift. And also you have another different perspective from the river and from the city if you are in the mezzanine.
Right.
And people on the ground floor can be focused more on the library and more on the display, right? And when you are in the mezzanine, you are more focused on the delight of the views and having a coffee or reading a book or whatever.
Nice.
Can you go pretty quick to your plan? I just want to make some quick comments. I really like your idea of using taking advantage of the landscape and the site you're working on, and to have this outdoor space. I think that's a really great idea. And as Sonsoles said, this double height space also, it's great, and it would be a really nice place to have a workspace, but also to for the public to take advantage of it. Just a few quick details. Not to I don't want to repeat any of the things Sonsoles said that I totally agree on. But for example, here in your plan, you have this space that's kind of a dead end. And as Sonsoles was saying, probably you want to prefer opening here and to give this axis kind of a clear organization. And I would try to think about these bathrooms that are opening. Like imagine you're coming out of the bathroom and you just open the door and you're really into this open big space that anybody can see you, like even from the mezzanine. So I was just thinking that maybe you can have even the same strategy you were using here to have kind of a void to get to the outside. Maybe having one here could be helpful for the stairs, the elevator to go up, and also to put the these, for example, these bathrooms and these things right here, so they are, at least you have kind of a space, in between, that gives you some kind of privacy. And I don't know, maybe even this space could be I don't know, an entrance for the loading dock, or some kind of of connection to the outdoor, But I really like these two ideas of taking advantage of the outdoor space, that it was the first project.
Yeah, can you go to that perspective?
Yeah, in general, the complexity of your project, I will say that is bigger than the other colleagues, because you have the mezzanine, that section, that beautiful view to the ground floor. So in that sense, it's true that the complexity of your project, and also if you add that Louis Kahn library to your concept, and speak about the service space and servant space and see that in terms of architectural concepts is really, really complete your project. So that makes your project a little bit more exciting, let's say. And it's true that it's time that we are in a complex project, we have more talents, okay?
Mhm.
Also, your perspectives are beautiful. The only thing that I will
Thank
work
you.
with the line weight, huh? Because it's
Yeah,
gonna be, yeah,
I've been having significant issues with the line weights, and I've been working like around the clock to fix them. And so I
yeah,
plan to make revisions and send them in.
Okay, great.
great.
Great, and then I know Sensolas has to go in 4 minutes. So before we give you a big thank you, do you have any comments based just for everyone based on all the work you've seen so far?
I think that I never been in this course because that was my first time. But I have to say that the quality of your drawings and also the design this year is, I think that is really, really advanced. Uh, because Guillermo, you know that we have also students and the perspectives. I really,
They're struggling.
yeah, they're struggling more than you, huh?
Huh. Yeah, this is a good group. They're really hard workers. That's a real good group. And I think they really take advantage of looking at each other's work. And,
Yeah,
they're really excited about this final project because I think for them now, this is architecture.
I'm really, really jealous of your perspective views. I would like to have
I
some
want to
of
show
them.
them
Yeah,
to
to
our
see.
students.
Okay. Yeah. I would like to do that. So, Kate, even if your line weight is not correct exactly, your perspectives and your views are. If we have to compare with our students, some of them are really, really advanced. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm willing to see you next year in the second year studio.
Yes, that's right. Well, thanks so much for coming.
Okay, thank
And
you, Michael.
we love your
Good.
comments. And yes, they'll be seeing you next year.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Right. Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. All right, now Jackson, you all set? Oh, and he's not at his desk. Okay, let's see who is next. Not a good idea to leave your desk before you're supposed to go. Kayla, you're up.
Hi, I had some issues with my audio, so I'm coming in through my phone, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's see what happens. So, there we go.
So for my artifacts, I chose ones that were like objects of expression. So this one is like craft, music, and then self-expression. And while I was looking at the archives, I noticed that like a lot of them didn't have places to display the like actual artifacts. They had a lot of like storage, but no display. So I really tried to incorporate that in my design. During the figure field studies, I explored repetition and pattern and found myself leaning towards symmetry and a central circulatory space, which you can see throughout here. And then my precedent was the Exeter Library. I liked how it had an open space with the stacks surrounding that central space, and you could see into them while also being separate. You can see the use of symmetry in my concept diagram as it goes across the central axis and the circulatory space that goes around these more cutoff spaces in the middle, while also being surrounded by the archives. In my plan, you can see how I incorporated a large gallery and viewing space for the artifacts so that way they could really be shown off. In the back, you can see a more open space, not surrounded by archives. So this allows me to use natural light and views through the glass. So I have many layers of glass throughout, so you get the natural light filtering in. And then in order to get natural light in the central area without disturbing the archives, I used the idea of clerestory windows and layers of glass so that way you could see through and the light could filter in without directly affecting the artifacts. You can see here how the stacks have no windows behind them, and in the reading rooms and office spaces, there's lots of light coming in. And then you can see the idea of the clerestory windows, especially in this one, as the light comes in on all these different levels through the walking space and through the gallery space. And then here are my perspectives. Here's from the front desk. You can see through all through the artifacts, the reading rooms, which have great views, and the conference room. And then the view from inside the gallery, you can see the different levels of the clerestory light and the view into the stacks. And here's the axonometric to end off on.
Okay, walk us back through the perspectives to the beginning. Slowly, we can look at those. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the gallery perspective.
Okay, next.
The conference room. The reading room. And the front desk. Here's the cutting through the archives and the front entrance area, through the stacks. This one's across the other axis, so you can see through the conference rooms. And here's my plan.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you stop there, right. All right, so Guillermo, you want to go ahead and start?
Yeah, I really like the perspective of your central space. I think you're using this general scheme of trying to have these programs wrapping around the central space. So I think you've decided to have this kind of a control skylight for the exhibition area, and I think that's that turned out really good. Then you have I understand that you have these spaces, this conference room and this kind of reading area with some openings to the exterior, and then you have a more closed area right at the top left. Why is that? Why you didn't continue like your opening and closing
So
facade?
this area is the loading dock space.
Okay.
So I didn't want to allow too much light in because there would be a lot like already open in this top area as with like trucks coming in and out. So this is more of like a closed off workspace. It's probably the most like private parts of the program.
Okay.
So I didn't want to like bring too much light coming in if this was already going to be open all the time.
Okay, perfect. Just to clarify, because I didn't understand. And your like the structure, you have some columns and that are wrapping around this central space. So I imagine it's for trying to have this control skylight that you have in the perspectives. So I think that's good. And yeah, I think your general scheme is pretty clear. You have some different situations and some different strategies for certain different areas, and you have these kind of offices that are pretty symmetrical, and yeah, I think your main idea, your main scheme is pretty clear. I really like your perspectives, And yeah, I would definitely I'm gonna take a more detailed look in Canvas, because I have some. Your presentation was kind of fast, so I'm
Yeah,
certainly
if you want me to
missing
move to
some.
anything, just let me know.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna pass to Michael, but I'm here in Canvas, so I'll continue
Sure.
to look at
Yeah, I
all your
mean, there's
plans.
a couple of things. I mean, she was really interested in symmetry, and I'm not so much. So, I mean, I think she was trying to be very clear that it is about symmetry, about the sides, and that it's axial. So for me, I guess a couple of things. I mean, you come in the entrance, there's that main circular space, but then beyond that, there's those two. Is that like a little interior conference room? I assume that's all glass. That smaller conference room that has tables in.
This one?
Yeah, and that's all glass.
Yeah.
That's a glass room, I assume. That would be all
That's
glass.
glass through here, so that way you can see the river.
So you can see all the way through, and then there's a glass window in the other conference room, so you can see all the way through that. So you've cut that section A. Let's go to section A. That's where it's cut, and so that we see those we see those two conference rooms. But I see sort of a poche walls in the hallway. I mean, I would think I think that whole thing can be glass, so you kind of just see through it, Then I guess the
right here?
Then the question I guess then would become, if you go back, go back to your plan, that's fine. You go back to the plan, is that the question is, can that just be, does that need to be enclosed, or could that just be open? I don't know. I feel like since symmetry is so important, and that's the end of the axes, what you do with all that kind of makes it more special. So do you see what I'm talking about? Maybe I can draw on here. Just that area. I think it's not that it's problematic. It just doesn't seem like it's resolved to the idea of what the project should be. So in other words, this is a conference room, and then you got a hallway, and then you got another conference room here. But it's all at the end of this long axis, So in terms of solving that, I guess you wanted the corridor for circulation, but you've got that circular circulation off of the center. So what are those two rooms? Those are meeting rooms, conference room, work room?
Yeah, these are the conference rooms.
Those are the conference rooms. Okay. Yeah, and so that, but they're definitely, that's a glass wall, and that's a glass wall, and this is a glass wall.
Yes.
And this is glass. So is that showing up that way in your section? I don't think it was.
This one is not glass now.
Why is that not glass? Why wouldn't you want that just to all be glass?
That I just didn't think about it, but that is a good idea. Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, I think you want to do it that way. So that's an easy fix. You can fix that on your section. And then in perspective, is there a view of that anywhere when you see in the rotunda? I call it the rotunda, the big round space.
You can see, I think, the entrance perspective. That would be this wall back here.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. You look all the way through. You see glass. And then you can. There's your city view. You've got a city view all the way through that. It's borrowed. What we call borrowed light. You're borrowing the light from the exterior window through another interior window, another interior, but it's all borrowed light. And if it's transparent, which it could be for a conference room with just the tables, then you would see in the distance, just like you showed in the sky above, you'd see in the distance that city view. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be nicer. I mean, I just think that would kind of because you come into the space, you have this great rotunda, display of stuff, and then just this other little, you can see a little farther into the distance, and you see all of that. So I think that'd be nice. I don't know. What do you think of that, Guillermo? What do you think of that idea?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely to have kind of when you enter, you see like all the way through, and you give kind of an ending to the space, and you're kind of
the ending
framing
is the view of the city and framing the view of the city. So
yeah,
I think that'd be a nice addition to the project.
Yeah.
That would be easy. That's easy to do. You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this perspective, I think it's a really good one. I know, like, you have the correct line weight, you have the drawing is really clear about your intentions of symmetry. Your expression, it's really clear, and you're showing, like, just with the point of view, your precise intentions. So I think in that way, it's a really clear project. It's probably the things to improve would be more like details. For example, I saw that the structure.
Yeah, let's go back to your plan. Let's
If
see.
you can go back to the plan. For example, you have these columns that are some way in the not in the central space. They are in the archives, and probably so this column would need to be in the interior instead of showing in this central space. So you have the central space without, it seems that it doesn't have a structure. So this skylight, the circular form, would be kind of floating. So I think that would make a better understanding of your idea, instead of having when you enter, when we're looking at the perspective, we had a column like right in the middle, but so, like, the comments I would make, they're more just about detail, about how you can improve some spaces. Or, for example, I don't know, like here you have kind of a dead end, that maybe you can take advantage of it, and you can for example, open, or to have a to have a connection to the outdoor, that kind of thing. I also noticed that you're very careful about the entries, about having different layers of privacy, as you're for example, here in this bathroom, that instead of having a direct access to the bathroom, you have this space that you go through, kind of a buffer, and you do the same thing here. So I think that kind of strategies are really interesting, and are very useful in this kind of programs, public programs, that you have to be really careful about that. And I think in that sense, you're making a really good really good job.
Yeah, just another little comment I'm noticing, and this is about your symmetry, so it's important. So I'd assume that, this is, I would think that there'd probably be a window right here and a window up here, if not a door. And here you have a doorway, and probably you don't want a door down here, but you would have a window. So everything's corresponding to each other. So if that line continues all the way through, yeah. And is that what that is? I can't tell. It looks more, it doesn't look like windows.
This is a door. This isn't a window. It's just a bigger like movement space for, like, if they need to move larger objects. I didn't want to put any windows in the archives because I know that can affect, like, the integrity of the objects.
I think you could cheat there and put a window there. They could figure out what archive they might not want right next to the window. But I think being in that end to be able to see the river, I think it'd be really nice. And I think then up at the other end is a window looking back up, across the levee, the railroad track to the, up to that part of the city. But I think that'd be nice just to, you could do, they could be, and then you may even have a little window seat or something. I don't know, but I think they could do that. I don't think that they would negatively affect the archives there. I think it's kind of nice to change that because it is a circulation. It's a wider space there that you walk down. So I think I would do that. Yeah, I would add that to it. That's not going to take much time.
Yeah, and be careful with the doors. For example, these two, I think that they should open in the other way, like to the interior of the archives, because if not, imagine like there's someone walking here, and you open the door, and you kind of you can how do you say it? You can break someone's nose. Imagine you open really fast the door, and if you and if you open to the interior of the archive, you don't have any issue.
Great. So
Perfect. And that's all the time we have.
And that's probably at the end of time. Are we at our end of time? Ethan?
Thank you.
Yes, sorry, I was muted. We're at the end of time, and we're going to move back to Jackson if he's ready to go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kayla.
All right, who's up?
Jackson's up.
Okay. So these are my artifacts, starting off with Paul Tulane's pistol, an old Mayan temple, and then an antique door. So for my plan, I drew a lot of my inspiration from the Diamond Museum by John Hesduck. I might butcher that name, but based upon its symmetry and how it has like more intimate and private spaces while being in a public setting. So this is my hatch. The dark represents the private areas, the gray being more and more public. And these are the shelves. The main feature of my plan is it functions around a long corridor right here, and it's surrounded by rooms and spaces that you're relaxed to get to be in. So the center of the plan is surrounded by a grid of 9 columns that support the roof, and there are 2 congruent boxes that contain offices and meeting spaces at the end, and then the gallery spaces with doors leading to the hallways and such. And at the southwest corner, there's a little seating area. These walls are glass to brighten the view, but to allow light in. And so the plan can also be split up into like 3 separate rectangles, with the first being the exterior rooms and shelves, this right here. The second being the corridor and hallway, and then the third being the interior rooms with grids in the spaces. So that's the way my plan functions. The main feature is a long hallway that allows you to walk all the way around to see all the building. So yes. Here's my axon. The roof sits on top of the building. There are windows here, and they align right on top of these walls, so the windows can allow light to get into the corridor and hallway. There's that. There's the glass wall that I was talking about. There's a desk here, a common workspace, shelves, receiving. And then here's my first section. So this first section is cut right here towards the receiving at the end. It leaves just a little bit of the hallway and all of this space in. So the hatched lines, the hatch represents the windows. So these being on the roof, and then this being the southwest corner, that wall right there. You can see the different rooms and such. And then second section is cut towards the center of the building, right behind the first wall of the offices, right there. So this shows the first 3 offices, a large meeting space right there, the gallery, shelves, a little bit peeking out behind there, and then again, these are the windows and the bathrooms in there. This first perspective shows the southwest corner with the couches and the workspace. And so you can see the Mississippi and the glass walls and the mourners, I think that's what they're called. So yeah, there's that. The second perspective is in the hallway, right towards the entrance of the building. It shows the shelves, the gallery space, the first large meeting room, and then offices in there through that doorway. So, my artifacts being a huge 80-inch store and a mine temple I couldn't really put on the shelf, so I kind of just crafted some little blobs and then it's right there. The third perspective is from the hallway, also in the southwest corner, right behind, right in front of the little common workspaces. So this right here, you can see some of the shelving, the windows up top, the second large meeting room, and then a little bit of the gallery space right here. And then you can see the corridor driving around.
Yeah, I'm gonna interrupt. We're looking down the hall and there's a person there. What is that? What's beyond that person? What view is that? Is that the
right behind that wall is the receiving area.
That's the receiving area. So we're looking back. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
and then so on that left wall. Oops, sorry. Go back to that perspective. So on that left wall, that's I can't. It's,
right there. You can, this
it's kind of light, so I'm just
line.
Yeah.
The darker line, it leads that. What are we peeking at right there? It leads into a corner, but it's not a glass wall, so you wouldn't be able to see through it. So all this right here behind the shelving is receiving until the corner. So.
Okay, so this perspective you were doing to sort of show the top lighting, was that kind of why you picked that one?
Yeah, it shows how like light can shine in from the hallway, from the windows.
Mm-hmm. Because now if you go back to the plan, let's go back to the plan.
He's standing right there.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, the camera's placed right here, and then it's facing this way. He's standing right there with the shelves, the receiving area, and then the hallway wrapping around.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right, was that the last perspective? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just trying to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, go to the last perspective, and then you can slowly scroll back. Yeah.
This perspective is from.
Oh, okay.
Also right at the entrance, but it's just a little bit to the right. It shows the first 4 shelves and then the little seating area right at the front, and you can see a little bit of the windows peeking. But this right here is the roof, and then the corner of the wall you can see. But yeah. So there's a little meeting space right here at the front. This perspective is shown from right here, facing this way.
Oh, okay.
You can see this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the drawings are a little light on the screen. I don't know what they look like. And is you're doing concept board, right? Or are you on this isn't a PDF, this is a concept board. Is the PDF darker?
I believe so. Whenever I zoom into it's higher definition as well.
All right. Okay, well, let's go up to the diagram and the plan, see sort of. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you probably would want to also place a Mondrian painting in there too, as part of next to the Hayek, Diamond Ranch Museum, because he based that Diamond Ranch museum on the Mondrian paintings. And I'm trying to think, what's the name of that one? Is it one called Jazz? That one that he did, that's the Mondrian painting. Because that could be a really good reference for you.
Mm-hmm.
About big, small, the grid, the bars, the band, which is kind of what you've been trying to do. I think that, oh, I'm sorry. Gary, you want to start? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. You can start. And I
Okay.
can,
Yeah, I was going to say that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm glad to see all this because this kind of came together pretty late, but he's got it together now, so that's good. I was just thinking that a lot of the interior rooms, interior spaces could be more transparent, as I said from the last one, where the idea is that you can see through them. So choose walls and choose the spaces that actually could be more transparent, because it's kind of nice as objects sitting in the space that maybe they aren't quite as solid. So that's something to maybe look at, because it starts to block things, where it wouldn't necessarily have to. But I like the idea that there are these objects that sit in the space and you really treated them as objects. If you go back to your section, how tall is the spaces? I mean, this isn't the case where, like where we were looking at earlier, where she was working with the idea strategy of a mezzanine, that was a mezzanine space that was on top. So, where the box has a mezzanine or something on it. But I'm just trying to imagine kind of animating those boxes within the bigger space.
Yeah. I remember talking about that, about these having to be glass, but I kind of wanted to create, like, with like the Dye Museum, I kind of wanted to have more like private, intimate spaces. It's like if I was working in an office, I wouldn't really want people like being able to like look through glass windows, seeing me like working or whatever it is.
The conference and reading room and those types of things you could. Well, those are my comments. Guillermo?
Okay. I think that I'm gonna start with the floor plan. I would definitely would try to have more diversity in terms of blocks and in terms of how do you put like the furniture. It seems like all it's the same. The seating, the tables, they're all aligned and they repeat in all of your plan. Also, you have extremely big bathrooms that your previous classmates did not have, and I wonder if that's a requirement or maybe those could be smaller, and so you can have a different, so you can have more space for other spaces.
Yeah, you could minimize that. Yeah, absolutely. And, and that's the solid parts, but some of the other parts, and I don't even mind offices being, if you have some windows, you could always pull, you can always pull the shades on them, and so you're borrowing light from the outside through the office space to the inside, which I'm I think is a nice way to get light, into this building. Because we really, when we listened to the archivists and the people that, work there, they gave us virtual tours. They really all talked about, keeping, preserving the artifacts and, natural light, and light getting on them and things. And so we didn't want the students to worry too much about not getting light into the building. So as an architect, what are the other ways that you do that? So you've popped up the ceiling, you've got spaces along the edges, so you've got light, but you can also borrow light from offices and other things into the space as well.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Other thing that it's I think something maybe you can improve is that you enter. I don't know if I can. You enter to this kind of hall. You have the reception, and then you have this double door. But you enter also to kind of a corridor. That you have to go or right or go straight ahead. And maybe you can redirect that so you can enter into into a space and a more open space, that kind of shows some part of the exhibition or the archives, or it's kind of strange like to enter this big space that you even have at that point you will have these windows above, because you have this roof that's raised, but you enter through a corridor, so maybe you can redesign that so you could enter the space of exhibition or these living areas that you have.
Yeah, that's
Also,
a good idea. Yeah.
and also I was wondering the same as you, Michael, like you have these offices, this conference room, like in a really close connection to the exhibition. So maybe someone could say that could be a problem, but maybe that could work. But I would definitely try to make to have a different materiality, probably as Michael was saying, trying to have a really transparent, or to have glass, or to have other material, but that you can look at it and to have a more of a close connection to the exhibition. And because if not, it seems like you have these closed rooms and then you go out and you see this exhibition, but it's kind of a part of the of a walkway, but if these offices are more open, they could blend more with the exhibition, and you can be in the conference room, but at the same time looking at these valuable objects that you would have in some pedestals pretty close, and I think that would be great, like to have a workspace that at the same time is really close to these valuable pieces. But if these spaces are enclosed, this exhibition would seem more of a part of a walkway,
Yeah, good point. Good point.
And just like one more thing, like you have different strategies for the archives, because I've seen that the archives at the left, you have an open window and an open relationship to the Mississippi, and the archives at the top right, they are kind of enclosed. I don't know if that was meant to be, and you're thinking about different kind of objects for the different archives, because if that's not the case, someone could say, like, why do you have different you're responding different to the same situation,
Yeah, that's a good point. I assume they're different. Is that what you're trying to do? Kind of give different options for different kind of pieces that would be in the archives?
Jackson
there?
Jackson, you're muted.
Oh, he's muted. Jackson? There you go. Oh.
That was weird. Sorry. Yeah, well, one of the things that I was dealing with was a whole lot of open space, whatever I was making.
Yeah.
The receiving is the same dimension as the bathroom, and then this box is the same exact, it's identical to that. And so it left all this open space that I had, so I filled it up with different shelving, the gallery spaces, different rooms. But yeah, that is a good point with the windows. I could place different artifacts in different places and have them shine. Like this, like you said, this is a wall, this is glass, so it would be different things.
Did you have a chance to look at the Mondrian painting?
I'm sorry?
Did you have a chance to look at the Mondrian paintings? Because the diamond ramp, your precedent, was really based on the Mondrian paintings. And there's a couple of those paintings that are really, I think, would be really similar to your diagram scheme. So I add one of those in as part of your diagram. Okay.
All right.
Can we go very quick to your section? I just want to see.
And then we should wrap up after this last comment.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
And do you have a other section, right? Because I think that you probably want to show like the windows you have, instead of showing like the wall, to show the window and the connection, and how the light can enter this central space.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not really showing off your clear story there in your section. You want to take advantage of that. So there's a window flashlight that's
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
The other section does show a little bit more of the windows, like the south
yeah.
wall.
You want to do that on both of them. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. All right. Thank you. We need to keep rolling. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ethan, who's up? All right. Oh, because we're out of sequence now, aren't we? Or is...
Yeah, next up is Ignacio, and he'll be the
Oh,
last for
Ignacio,
this
yeah.
middle break.
Yeah, I wonder, well, we'll talk about break. How much? We might just do a real short break.
Just do like 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, okay, go ahead. Ignacio, are you there? Is he here? Yep.
Ignacio, we can't hear you right now.
Yeah.
You're on
Okay,
mute.
there you go. You're back. Perfect. Take it away.
Good morning. So this is one of my the figure fields from Mari's collection. So I took like I just chose artifacts from the Mari collection, and this is a Surinico, which was like from a Brazilian tribe, and this one was the Savante Club, which was also from Brazil. So I wanted like to have like these artifacts from tribes, and this one was also from a tribe. Not, I'm not sure what tribe it was, and so
Okay. So this is your figure field?
yeah, these are figure fields. Sorry, and these ones were from 3.2, and this is like one of the things
And
I
then from
worked
your
on.
figure field, you looked at the precedent? You have that?
Yeah, I worked on like many precedents. I got 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's from this one. I worked precedents on this one.
Okay, and then
yeah.
if you were to talk about your scheme in terms of a diagram type, what did you end up doing?
Yeah, I ended up with a bar scheme. Like everything is aligned, and just bars across the plan. And I divided like every section depending on its function. So like on top I got the office, here I got the shelves, and down on the far south is the common area facing the Mississippi River.
Okay. Right. Okay. So let's look at your plan.
So this is my plan. I worked with 3 different presidents, so I got an idea of like 3 different ones, and I combined them together. One of them was the South by New York by Oma, which I got the idea of like the long hallways across the entire plan, and the Garage Museum of Contemporary Arts, uh, which gave me the idea like of making the entrance, and you'll be able to see it in the isometric, where I pull up the entrance roof to make it differentiate from the rest of the building. And from the Shanghai Rujiasu, I think it's something like that, Harbor City Exhibition Center, I got the idea of making like large window panels facing the river, and those were my preferences.
Sections? Yeah.
No, for the plan, I would like to like describe some of my how I came up with the idea of it. Like so, like as you enter, you have like all the working areas on the right, offices, meeting rooms, research rooms, and the loading area, which is all enclosed to that. Some of the spaces have windows, indoor windows, so people can see them. And then the shelves divides the working area with the common area. So you have like a differentiation of like a place. And there's no walls in between anything until you reach the working area, which is the top one. And yeah, long hallways along the entire plan. Yeah. Here's my exploded isometric. So as you can see, uh, the roof is pulled off. I think it's 7 feet for natural light. To receive some natural light on the like hallways or places where the sun wouldn't light. And yeah, you can see that I have large window panels facing the entire river and the city. And as you enter, you face the city at the end of the hallway. And that's something I really like. So here are my section cuts. This is a section cutting from the south to north, from the river to the land. And this is like from the that's like from the common area. And there it goes back. And here's a section cut from the office. And here's the section cut from the right, which you could easily see the different sides of the roof for to receive natural light inside the building. And do I show my perspective?
Yeah, perspectives next. Yeah.
So this is my first perspective. It's facing from the entrance to the city, like the window here facing the city. And on the right are the working areas, and the left is the shelves, and then farther to the left are the common areas. This is a perspective from the common area. As you can see, it's all windows and yeah. And this is a perspective taken from like a mirror inside a mirror room. So everything is behind a glass there. And this one is one perspective taken inside some shelves facing the Mississippi River in the common areas. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Do you have one of the perspectives that's along that? Is there one of the views along the river with the
Yeah.
reading tables and all that? Is that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You're gonna you need to Photoshop in the river, the city, all of that you would see through those windows, because I think that would make really a nice perspective. But
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
you need to do that to finish up the project. You need to put those details in, and particularly also where those clear story lights are at the top, you want your skies and stuff in. So you need to do that. But these are all set up for that. They're ready. You just
Yes.
want to add that because that's the detail that really makes the perspectives work.
Mhm.
So like go to the next one.
Next perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's one that's probably is there a window there? That's a window then.
Yeah, that's the window at the end. It's facing
Yeah, and
the
that's a
city.
view of the city, I think, right?
And also on the top, there's windows on the sides.
Yeah, so you want to add, that would really be important to add that into it. Really would make those perspectives pop.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Can you go to your plan, Ignacio?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go back to the plans, yeah.
We can start. I was just wondering, like I like your this idea of like for entering here and you have the kind of the reception at the left, but you can already see all these objects and you can see directly through this window. But I was just wondering, I don't know if you can do that, but maybe instead of ending here, imagine you're walking, someone's entering, walks all the way, and then needs to go back, and probably then it's just like where I should go, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe you can create, I don't know if you can lose some of the shelves, but if you could make like this,
Yeah, I can remove the far left shelf.
at least you kind of make this circular walking path that also integrates the archives, and but at the same time you can see all the exhibition, you know. So I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. People would probably cut through all of the shelves anyway, because they could be, as they peek through there, they'd see the windows and the light and from the river.
Yeah, because this space is really attractive, as we were seeing in your perspective.
Yeah.
So
You might want to use just one set of shelves. That's a good idea. While we're on the plan, all right, you're pocheting in all the walls, but you didn't poche in. You know, when you do the poche, you cut everything at 4 feet. Anything above that, you pocheted in. So all those shelving should really be pocheted in as well. Or the other option is to don't do the poche at all. You know, so that the columns, you know, and the walls, you know, as long as you did a heavy line weight, but you want to be consistent. So all those shelves are taller than 4 feet, you know, aren't they? All the shelving that's stored. You know, so that's fine. But you have to kind of you have to decide, because right now you know you're not doing all of them. Is that what you're trying to do? Crochet everything in at 4 feet above everything that's cut at 4 feet.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think you can improve this plan through line weights and expression. For example, I don't know why this is so dark.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
And I can see that, for example, like the walls, or you have this this kind of angle here that you can lose pretty easily, you know. I think you can improve expression a lot, and really quick. I mean, without making huge changes, right? Just
Yeah, I mean, I think the scheme, you know, has worked really well. I like the sectional idea where you go, you know, a low space and then that tall space is, you know, exhibition, and then it's low again for storage, and then it's tall out at the river. You know, I think that works really well for you in section. So, I mean, I think everything is work. I think it's just kind of finishing up the details to get to the level that you want to be, to show that this is a really good project. So definitely those perspectives with those views of the river, you know, getting these plans tightened up. Let's look at your sections, see if they, you know.
I think your sections are much better.
Yeah, I think the sections are. Yeah, he's good on section. Yeah. And here you didn't do poche. So you're not pocheing in your section, you're using heavier line weight. So that really suggests, okay, I'm not going to do poche. So in terms of your plan, then maybe you don't do poche either. So you're consistent all the way through the whole set of drawing.
Yeah, I would definitely encourage you, Ignacio, to continue working, because I think you have, as Michael said, a really clear scheme. It's working. It's just, it seems like it's still work in progress, you know, to like, you have to finish the perspectives, to have these, to correct these details in plan. Sections are really good, but you have some details that you can also improve. So I would definitely encourage you to keep on working to just finish these details, to to reach the level that it's expected. And I think this would be a really good project, you know.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Okay, great.
Great. So we're pretty short on time, so we're going to take just a 5-minute break, and then we're going to wrap up. I'll also add on quickly that as of now, Matthew, I don't have any of your work up on concept board. So if you don't have it up by the end of the break, I'm going to assume that you're not presenting, and I'm going to give people the appropriate time based off of that.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, we have the 5-minute break starting now. So that's 11:55.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, everyone, if you could turn back on your camera so I know that you're back. We'll be starting with Amanda. Take it away.
Hi, am I supposed to go now?
Oh yeah, I thought. Sorry, did I not come through?
All right, I'm back.
I'm just waiting
Who's
for
up?
Crosby. Great.
Who's up?
I'll share.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, so for this project, I chose 3 artifacts that went along with the theme of repetition, and that had a range of representation so that it can be displayed in different ways throughout the project. So the big painting is from 1995 by a French artist depicting marching soldiers at war. And the object on the top right is from Benin in West Africa in 1880 and is a shrine of a chief made out of wood. And the basket is from a collection, the Mari collection, and from Brazil. Oh, sorry. So this is an earlier iteration in plan view that focuses on moving through the shelving to find enclosed and open spaces. And that relationship
I'm
between...
sorry.
Hold on, we're not seeing that.
Ah, okay.
It's the same issue.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Sorry.
Yeah. So you have to stop sharing and
no.
reshare. And when you reshare, make sure you click your screen, not any individual application.
Can you
There
see
we
it?
go. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so here are my artifacts
Okay.
that I was describing.
Right, there we go. We saw that one. We just didn't see
Oh,
the
okay.
There we go.
Okay, so this is the iteration that I was talking about.
Mhm.
And I focused
Figure
on...
field. Yeah, these are the figure field. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And I focus on enclosed and open spaces. And so I took that relationship between negative and positive spaces and I brought that to my current project. So this is my scheme. It's a bar scheme that follows different levels of public spaces with the most public area in the lightest gray and the most private in black. I know you'd wanted a little diagram on the top, but I hadn't included that, so sorry about that. So this is the inspiration I took from 2 buildings. The first one is the Parc La Villette on the right with a bar scheme and more orthogonal spaces. And the second is No Stop City by ARCH-1012. And this has open interior space that has no dividing walls, which is similar to the most public space in my project, which you'll see soon. So this is my plan. You can see the 3 different bars in context. The first space, the most public space, and the one with the view has an open concept with minimal to no walls. The offices and the communal spaces and the entrance are located here. And this area is just where people can work and converse and just enjoy the view. Then moving through the building, it becomes more enclosed with the most private space in the back for people working there. And in this middle space is an exhibition space. So although the space in the back is the most private, I still wanted to make it out of glass so it didn't feel too crowded, which is this in the right. I also added a curved roof with skylights on each side in order to elevate the exhibition space and to allow for indirect light to enter. This is the first section. It cuts from north to south and shows the progression of the most public space to the most enclosed, which is in the right side. And like Charlotte, I added a countertop table facing south to take advantage of the view. Yes. This is the second section and it cuts east to west. And it shows the main exhibition space I chose punched out walls rather than solid walls because I wanted to make the space feel less dense and to create more exhibition spaces for the artifacts. This is my first perspective that shows the view and the openness of the space. I thought this is a great view just because this is like the main entry, the first thing that you see when you walk in. This perspective shows the pathway from the previous space I just showed into exhibition space in the archives. You can also see the skylight that is cut out from the dome ceiling. In this perspective, you can see the public space in a different angle, and the entrances in the back and the offices space on the left. This is my last perspective. And this is an exhibition space with the dome ceiling. You can see the archive shelving through the punch wall on the right. And I just overall wanted to show the grandeur of the space just because it is very important. Yeah. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward for your feedback.
Okay, thank you, Leandra. Can you go to your diagram at the beginning so we can start comment?
This one?
Yeah, I think that probably you're missing one stripe, probably kind of here. That I think we can see pretty clearly in your floor plan. Can you go to your floor plan? I mean that you have here, although oh sorry sorry, like you have a pretty clear stripe also here, right? That I think you can add to your diagram. I find pretty interesting that you have kind of an interior facade that you composed here. I think that's pretty interesting, and that you're playing with some volumes that are not from floor to ceiling. That they're smaller, they're shorter, so that kind of creates they feel like a volume inside a bigger volume. So that's why I'm telling you that in the perspective also it feels like this is also kind of a part of this stripe system you're using. That's pretty clear, and I think it functions pretty well. And can you go then to your continue with the presentation with your sections and here? Can you please go to the previous one, to the accent? And I was just wondering, you have this curved roof for this tribe, and why do you have it here? Or maybe it's just an idea of also having it like at the entrance, you know. So when you enter, you also have you have this space, kind of it feels like a much bigger space. I don't know why you selected this this stripe especially.
Well, I didn't, we just talked about the new stripe, and because that was the smallest one, I didn't think I wanted to add it to the back part or the front part just because the bars were so big, and I didn't think that would make sense. So I picked the middle to do that. But I think that now that you add the other smaller bar in the front, I think that would be interesting, adding the dome there too.
Yeah, I think because probably if you repeat this strategy, it could be more consistent about your general scheme of having different stripes and this relation to to the OMA project in Parc de la Villette and that kind of thing. And I think also your perspectives. Can you go to the perspectives? This one I really enjoy it. To see this small volume, to have all these views to the Mississippi River, and to kind of enter through this really big and open collective space. I think it's really interesting. And can you go to the other ones? Yeah, and this one is the one is that space that you have
Yes.
with this facade that you composed, that I think it's pretty interesting because you're going to be walking by and you're kind of you will be looking like to these kind of frames, and you kind of feel curious about what it's inside. So I think that's a really good strategy. So I think it's a really clear project, and I think you also presented very it was very good and very clear. So I think it's a really good project. Congratulations for that.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, you know, this is just personal, but I really think the arch, you know, the arch for me always is kind of ecclesiastical, you know, church, but I know you're not having that meaning in it. But I'm not sure, you know, I mean, I wonder if the space could be, you know, if it was square at the top, you know, set, it would work just as well. But I can't remember the reasoning you wanted to have that as an arch opening, because it's really not part of your bar scheme or your plan or the archival. I mean,
Yeah,
that it was
because
the vault, I guess
I
it's vaulted ceiling, vault space, right?
yeah, so I had like if you see here, just some curved spaces, and I just wanted to go along with that theme.
Yeah, so the curve, yeah,
Yeah.
the space in that, yeah. But they're just, yeah, they're kind of very different from each other, and you know, but I mean, you know, you're the author of this, so you know, but it is very, you know, strong in the sense that it really, you know, what it's saying. So I'm not sure. But I like the idea that he's talking about doing something at the entrance that helps, you know, because right now it's not. And I think one of your perspectives actually looks back that direction, isn't that right? Yeah. Is that the
This
one?
one?
Is this the one that looks back? Which way? This is looking
Yeah.
for the entrance,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
What I mean, you know, boy, I mean, you know, as interesting as all the spaces and things you have, that your entrance, you need to design it. It's not designed at all. It's not interesting, you know. It's kind of a little door, you know, you don't want to do that. So, but this is also something that, since we didn't get to the exterior and didn't get to elevations, that would be something that immediately you would start working on. But from this interior, you know, what could you do right now to sort of fix that? You know, isn't that kind of a window, door, and view back down the, you know, down the wharf, you know, in the park? You know.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to add something there. I wasn't completely
Yeah, but I
satisfied
think
with the
the
entrance.
whole thing
Yeah.
is a wall. I mean, that wall is all along the south. It could wrap around that east into that section too, because that's the entrance. And then there might be canopy awning or something that's stuck in that, but that whole thing could be much more sort of open, because then that talks about your entrance. And I think he was, you know, he was really making sense that you're not really showing entry. You're not really making that special. So I would look at that. Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay.
Great.
Very
Thank you
good.
so much.
Thank you, Leandra.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's up?
Next up, well, it seems like you already figured it out. Brandon, take us forward.
Brandon's up. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Don't forget
I'm
full
Brandon.
screen.
Oh, am I not? It's showing me. Oh.
Oh yeah, same issue. Stop sharing, reshare, you know the drill.
Okay, so stop. Oh, Command L.
There.
All right. So, hi everyone. I'm Brandon Jekyll, and today I wanted to present my iteration of the two-lane depot. I'm going to talk about my inspiration for the structure and my aspirations and present my execution as well. First, I wanted to show my inspiration, that being the sculpture pavilion. And what I found most interesting about it was how he used the discontinuity of the shelving in order to explicate the certain artifacts. So as you can see, as there are these curves featured in the shelving, there are also these little circles which indicate the particular structures and sculptures. And that's something that I wanted to execute in my own work. Oh, I can do it here, sorry. So in terms of my diagram, a theme throughout our section was finding something that is simple and available throughout several different perspectives. My entrance is over here. And in doing so, the audience has access to the 3 separate spaces of private, public, and shelving. The lightest bar right here, this L shape right here, is the space available for the public. The reason being it has the greatest view of the Mississippi River, and that's something that I wanted to make available to everyone. And throughout here, through this back entrance, as this is the loading dock, this is the more private rooms like offices, storage facilities, and whatnot. And so in the middle, what I've done here is I've taken these 2 L shapes and I've used them to frame the center where the shelving will be. And as you can see, there's this emphasis on curvature. And throughout those curves and circles that I've made, I'm going to, as you'll see, be placing my artifacts. So here is my floor plan. The audience will be walking right through here. And if you are a worker of sorts, you can come right back here to your office space, to the storage and whatnot. And if you are the public simply observing the site, you can make a left and you will approach this massive hallway for seating and for viewing and sitting and familiarizing yourself with the area. Here you have the shelving and the artifacts that I've placed within the circles that I've created with the shelves. Additionally, there are 2 meeting rooms, the main one or the larger one being right here and the smaller being right here. And I've continued this circular theme by creating circled tables and whatnot, and also by creating a sloped ceiling, which you guys will be able to see here. So the purpose of creating this kind of sloped ceiling is twofold. On the one hand, we talked about ways that we can utilize the roofs to inherit light, natural lighting, and I've created a circular theme that goes beyond the roof. As you'll be able to see here, there are these little extrusions, circular extrusions, that are also made apparent here. These are basically glass openings that emit for natural light, and they are parallel to these spaces that I've created with the circular shelving. Just going back for a moment to my first section. The purpose of this section is to show the mezzanine space, which I've created towards the back, which is also composed of glass. So it provides availability to the city and access to the city. And so my second section is one facing the front entrance. Right here is the front desk. You have the office spaces in the background. And here you have the artifacts, the shelving, and the mezzanine space right here. This is my axonometric. It's an exploded axonometric just to show the mezzanine right here and how I've used that space in order to hold shelves and also just to open up the building by emitting natural light on the sides as well as the ceiling. It almost emulates a Swiss cheese roof. It's been called that several times. And it makes a lot of sense because there are these several small circular openings that emit light for the structure. All right. One moment. All right. So my first perspective, I wanted to show the Mississippi River and utilize that space accordingly. So this is a perspective. As soon as you walk in and you make a left, this is what you'll see. You have an open space for seating and frolicking, and then it gradually transitions into the circular shelving, along with the back space towards the window utilized for seating and whatnot. This is another perspective and where I try to show the circular effect of the shelving. I've added some small artifacts and whatnot just to give a sense of where they would go and how they fit into the overall space. You can also see the little sky roofs from this perspective, the little circular sky roofs, and how they counteract with the circles created by the shells, as they're almost parallel with each other. This perspective is one where you look down the aisle towards the front entrance, which I thought was important because it shows a circulation throughout the space and how people would kind of flow in and out. And this perspective is from the mezzanine. So as you are on the mezzanine looking down at the shelving, this is what you see. You can also see here how the circles of the roofs counteract with the circles created by the shells. You have office spaces to the left and more shelving, more straight shelving to the right. That is all. If you have any questions, please ask, and thank you in advance for your feedback.
Okay, thank you. Kind of
Thank
walk
you,
us
Brandon.
back through the perspectives.
Oh, actually, if you don't mind, I can also present some of my earlier works, like assignments 3.1, 3.2, just so you guys.
Why don't we do more feedback instead, just because we're short on time?
Of course, yes, sorry.
2% time. Yeah, very good. Okay. So Guillermo, what do you think?
I really like the project. I really enjoy it. I think, Brandon, you have a lot of sensibility in your drawing expression. I think that's impressive. I think you have a really clear scheme, and you have very clear intentions of what you are designing and what do you pretend of the project. And I think that's really good. Can you go to the to your ground floor plan?
Right here?
Yeah. Just like a few details. Maybe I understand what you're trying to do with, for example, like this space, and to have a really big opening to have a connection between the people here and the inside, but at the same time you're putting like the couches, like the back of the couches to the people outside, you know. So probably you have, it's just a detail, but you have enough space here to kind of create, maybe to have tables or even couches, but in a more kind of informal way, so that this space seems the extension of the one on the inside, you know. Because right now, imagine you're sitting here and you're looking only to the inside, and if you're outside, you're just looking at the back of the people, you know, that's sitting on the inside. It's just a detail, but I think it would improve your it would seem all more consistent, you know. And I would check like this distance in relation to this one. Maybe you can have a more similar distance to give a little more air to this area. But I think in general it's a really good project. The perspective at the end, the one that's it's from the double height space from the mezzanine, I would definitely, I think it's, yeah, if you can go there.
Sorry, I'm trying to go there now. It's a little slow.
Oh
because
yeah, it's okay, don't worry.
Almost there.
It's not a thing, of course, to change or whatever, but if if you would have like the same position but a little rotated to this side, maybe we could see more about the connection to the deck outside, and even we can see more directly into the Mississippi River, and at the same time we see the archives. So, but of course it's not a thing to change right now, but I would just I'm delighted with the project, and I just wanted to have a wider, vision of this double height space. But
That's
it's
right.
just
Yeah, if
it's
you want to
just a
keep
comment.
doing it, I think he's absolutely right. This is you're up above, and it's really not. You're not telling the story. So somehow you need to be positioned slightly differently. So maybe instead of looking out straight, like you're saying, you look out toward at the angle because the perspective can do that, and you would get the shelves below you with the circles, and you would also get a view of the river. So yeah, this one, this is something to work on later. Would be this this perspective, because there's only having a mezzanine is unusual, so you want to really show that off. So I'm not sure that this perspective is doing that. But yeah, very nice project. Yeah, very nice project. Can we go back to your plan? Was there some things in the plan? Are you doing kind of poching, not poching? I'm trying to go back to the plan. Oh, it kind of has to go slow. Yeah. There we go. So, you're poching everything, right?
Yes. So
everything cut is in a poche. All right. And then you did that in your sections as well.
Yes.
Because it looks like the exterior walls are not poche.
Of my sections?
No, the plan. I'm looking at the plan right now.
Oh, okay. Right.
Those exterior walls poche, or the walls in the offices poche? Or are you just poching the shelving?
Just the shelving, right?
Yeah, the shelving is the only thing that's
Yeah. I mean, you have to be consistent. Are you gonna, or if you're, the poche, in plan is a section cut. So you cut it at 4 feet above the floor. So if you're gonna do a poche, it has to be the walls, everything, or you can remove the poche. So that's kind of up to you. But when you do both of them in this one drawing, it's confusing.
Understood. So just to clarify, if I were to poche, I would do the walls as well.
Yeah, the plan is a section cut, but it's 4 feet above the floor. So if you cut across there 4 feet above, looking down, anything that's below, that's at 4 feet, let's say that your table's at 3 feet. Well, it's not cut through yet. You're just looking at the top of the table, so it's not poché, or a chair, but everything above that is. So if you want to be consistent, you have to do all your walls, and your shelving, or you remove the poché and the shelving and do everything no poché, which a heavier line. And this was something, Guillermo, I don't know, you can tell. I know they were saying in second year and on up, they really don't do poché. They just do a heavier line in sections.
Yeah, so we don't let students do poché.
Yeah, so in second year you don't do poché. So in first year, we're still kind of working, either way. So if you want heavier lines and cut and not do poché, then you wouldn't poché your shelving in either.
Yeah, in my personal opinion, I would definitely not poché the shelves, and just I would make the structure, the columns line a little thicker, and I think that it would be even more clear. Like the plan would be more clear, because the shelves would be white. They won't have this solid hatch, and I think the general plan would be more clear.
Okay, there you go. That's coming from second year, you guys. So that's where you're headed. So, yeah, really nice project, nice perspectives. It looks good. I think just if you have time, I don't, is to work on that mezzanine perspective.
Great. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Brandon.
Yeah, very nice project. Thank you. Okay. So
all right.
Yeah.
We have one more student. Kaylee, are you all ready? If you're talking, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good now. Okay.
It's hard to tell if the mask, like I never know if people
Yeah.
are trying to say stuff.
Oh, that's very slow. Can you see this?
I can
Yeah,
see
the bar?
everything's set up.
Yeah, that's
Nope, no bar or
Okay,
anything.
awesome.
nice drawing.
Okay, great.
Yeah, really nice.
So my time with Trillium Depot kind of started out with the investigation of the objects like we've talked about in some of the other presentations. So as far as my project went, I kind of focused on sculptures specifically from the Greco-Roman era, and especially like their depictions of women and like how this influenced like how the male gaze influenced like what women and especially like religious depictions of women looked like. And after spending time with that, we moved towards the concept diagrams and the figure versus field. And these aren't as relevant to my current plans as they could be. But they were more just kind of investigations of how space and shelving works, especially in like stacks like you would need in an archival facility. So these are just some interesting beginnings for the project. And then as far as moving away from the figure and field work, I started looking more at the precedents. And initially I was really inspired by the Shoutapot on the Vichur campus by Herzog and Demiran. And I was really interested in the way they used the archival shelving as a gallery component while also maintaining its primary function of like storing objects. And you can still see that somewhat in the final plan, but I also kind of moved towards the idea that Lucan investigated in the Exeter Library, where he has this core of primary functions surrounded by some auxiliary spaces. And I kind of took those two precedents and synthesized them into the plan that resulted. And this is the final plan. So if you can see on the southmost wall and the eastmost wall, you have the gallery space in that L shape. And then you have the core shelving space in the center, and you have along the north wall and the west wall, you have offices, reading rooms, conference rooms, and loading docks. And so I really kind of wanted to investigate that progression from like very public space to more private space. So I kind of see the shelving as like a transitionary space between the galleries, which are open to everyone, and like opportunities for anyone that is walking through Crescent Park to come in and visit the facility, to the more reserved spaces of the reading rooms where the researchers and the archivists would work. And I also really was interested in kind of blending the professions of like researchers and archivists, because usually, especially in the presentations we had at the beginning, there was kind of a stark distinction between like reading rooms and where the archivists work. So I wanted to focus on kind of bringing those two professions together because they work in very similar fields and value very similar things. So I chose to make some of the reading spaces inside of the archival facility where they would work on like restorations or storage. And I also made the walls glass between the primary conference room and the reading rooms, just so that there is again that connection between those two professions. And then this is my first section, and this one is a north-south section facing west. So you can see right here is the entrance into the facility, and you can see those shelves again where they operate as storage. Like they're not going to be displaying artifacts as beautifully as some of the pedestals would be, but they are still like on display. And you know, there is an interesting element of like the program of storage and how archivists go about storing things effectively in ways that are clear and accessible. And then you have the pedestals in front, and you can kind of see again, there's this progression towards this glass conference room that showcases that really beautiful view on the corner with the central business district and the mid-city connection bridge. And there's also, I forgot to mention this before, there's a clerestory roof for the core center with the shelving. So instead of putting direct light onto the archival shelves, which again is kind of something you want to avoid, I thought it would be interesting to provide that indirect light so that there is still natural light coming into those spaces without it being too harsh on the objects. And then this is a section that is east-west facing north, and this is cut very far into the plan, so it's just some of those auxiliary spaces. So you can see the loading dock with the garage door for any trucks to come in, as well as some shelves for like recently received items. And then there's that conference room and that reading room slash workspace for the archivist. And then this is my last section. This is an east-west section facing north as well. And this one cuts through that entranceway that, and then the shelves as well, and some of the offices. And again, this I feel like has a really nice view of kind of the progression from public to private and how the glass slowly becomes less prominent throughout the plan. And then this is my axonometric. And again, this just showcases kind of the clerestory lighting as well as the shelves and the spatial relations between those three spaces. And then moving towards perspectives, this is along that southmost portion of the building. So this right here is, again, the Mississippi River and the Central Business District down here. So you're really getting to embrace and interact with those views around you because the environment is so beautiful in the Crescent Park that you really want to be able to engage with it. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't completely ignoring that. And again, there's just some desks here so that you can sit if you've been in the park and work or just have access to AC. And then the gallery spaces that would be showcasing different items, as well as the shelves kind of removed back from the glass walls. And then here is another view. This one is kind of looking, again, from a similar position towards that gallery space and back wall, but also with some views of the entrance sequence, as well as a better view of the shelving and that just like L-shaped progression that you would take through the building. And then this is a view of the conference room looking towards that reading room. So again, it's just very open spaces with lots of light and lots of ability to kind of visually connect with the researchers and archivists. And then lastly, this is a final perspective, and this is the very first entry of the building. So you have the front desk and then where you would be moving through the space with the shelves kind of pushed back, which I feel like is again very reminiscent of the Herzog and de Meuron Chateau. So yeah, that is my presentation.
Okay, thank you. All right. So what do you think, Guillermo?
Thank you very much. Can you go right to your first slide so we can walk through all your project?
How do I? Okay, there you go. I don't know how slow you want me to move.
Well, just the floor plan.
Okay.
That's
there we
good.
go.
Well, I really enjoy your presentation. I think it shows that you have prepared your presentation, you have practiced it. So I'm really impressed by it. I think your the drawings of your object are excellent. So I think that's great. You have also a very consistent scheme. It's very clear, and I think it's of course Herzog de Meuron. It's a really good reference. So you're kind of designing. You're having a really contemporary approach to this combination of exhibition, archive, warehouse, kind of this really big open plan right in the center of your building. So I think that's great. Your perspectives also were great. So just want to congratulate you first of all. Then I see kind of a really few details. I was thinking that probably like this space that I find really interesting because you have a really close connection between these two because you have a dividing wall, a dividing glass wall. I don't know if this should be here and this should be here, or the other way around. I'm not convinced, like any like in any way, but I was just thinking about it, and that's why I'm telling you. But it's not like you need to change this. It's just like maybe you can think a little bit about it, but I think your overall strategy is it's really consistent. And I was thinking about also your roof. You can go you can show your section and probably your accent. Because yeah, you have like these two kind of L that are at the same time overlapping each other, and then you have this central space that I find I find it really interesting. Probably the only thing is that maybe in section, or like you don't have much variation. You have this of course this ceiling that's a little bit above, but maybe you I don't know, maybe um, um, you could give like more complexity to it. But I think that overall it's really good, and your drawing is it's excellent. So yeah, like I'm not I'm not trying to invent some things that you need to improve, because I right now I don't see them. That's the truth.
Yes, thank you. Very nice project. Yeah, very nice project. And nice presentation. The way you prepared and walked through was very nice. It's a nice way to end the review this morning. And so, Garen, we want to thank you so much for your time coming and talking with students. And I'm sure you're excited to see these kids next year.
Yeah, definitely. As I was saying earlier, I really want to show some of the perspectives to my second year students, because they are really struggling, and some of you have a really impressive expression. So congratulations to all of you. I think this was great. I really enjoy all your presentations. So thank you for having me. I hope it was useful for the students.
Oh yeah. Well, any closing questions or comments by you guys? How about that? Y'all outdid the second years, huh? So there you go. Okay, then. So we're finished for today, and you'll be getting some emails and stuff on what's coming up, but I think we're going to have a short class on this coming Monday, but we'll be sending you all that stuff. So great job. Really nice job on everyone.
Really great work, everyone.
Really good work.
Great job. Excellent.
Yes. And thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
We're going to say
Bye.
Okay, I'm going to, and Ethan, we'll talk later, okay?
Sounds good. Let me know what you want me to do for the recording too. I'm gonna stop.
Oh yeah, stop.
Now.
Yeah, I'm not sure where that goes, but we'll talk to Adam about where that's supposed to go.